Welcome to Hard Choices, where we rank the degree of sexual gratification that could theoretically be provided by specific fictional characters, or hypothetical analogs thereof, and explore within each other and within ourselves the urges that wait in breathless contemplation of the sheer orgasmic relief that lies just beyond the horizon, yet somehow also within our own hearts. We shall consider the median, the zenith, and the nadir of this gratification. Yes, those are also big words. They just normally happen here, instead of the other big words that I'm using, at least as they pertain to our own personal mores. But really, this podcast is about... it's about... it's about Nick Cage! I'm Miles Schneiderman, and joining me tonight for, it's pretty much everybody. It's almost everybody. It's the old crew, y'all. It's the old firm. It's Dan Mulcairn.
Hi fucking yeah!
I'm glad I didn't use that in the intro as I considered doing. It's also Kit Mulcairn.
We're fucking woo! Cage! Ooh, I hit puberty during that shit.
I was gonna say, you completely, my headphones just did not, at some point they decided to give up on whatever you were doing.
Yeah, it all cut out for me.
Claire Mulcairn.
I didn't prepare a quote this time, and I was just looking some up, and I found a Nick Cage quote that is very appropriate. That's just a thing he said in an interview, which is, and it's a thing I've embraced this time. Nobody wants to watch perfection.
Yeah.
I guess my other option is, looking at this particular list, I sort of feel like my insides are a rocky place where seed shall find no purchase.
I would have expected a little bit more of that from our next host here, but MeganBob is here also.
There's an Italian painter named Carlotti, and he defined beauty. He said that it was the summation of the parts working together in such a way that nothing needed to be added, taken away, or altered. And that's you. You're beautiful, Nick Cage. I love you so much, and I hope you listen to this.
Oh, I hope not.
Feel things.
Oh, he would love it. Come on. What is up, everybody? We are back for Cagemas in July. I know that these transitional segments are the place where, when I'm hosting the show, you have become accustomed to lots of very, just really forced jokes and references. I'm not going to do that this time. Basically, I don't want, who needs the spotlight all on himself, and also who has the time for it. Also,
I was going to say, yeah, clearly this is a choice, and not because you didn't prepare anything, right?
I mean, look, I tried to prepare things, but I couldn't put my usual effort into it. So, and then I was like, do I actually need to? Do I actually need to do this? Because I know how this is going to go. It doesn't, I don't need to sit here and, beat my brain into the ground trying to come up with Nick Cage jokes and references. You people are here.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
So, welcome to Hard Choices. Welcome to Cagemas in July, number 2, I think. Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Yep.
So, as always, we are here to rank, in this case, I believe, 15 Nicolas Cage characters, from most fuckable to least fuckable. As usual, we will start with the median, which in this case is number 8?
Correct.
Yep, Thank you for the math check, I appreciate it. And we're going to work our way down from number 8 down to the bottom of everybody's list, the nadir, the worst Cage in terms of fuckability of these Cages anyway. And then we're going to go back up to the top. We're going to go right back up to the top in a fucking stolen plane with a bunch of convicts, and we're going to find the number 1 Cage on everybody's list. Everybody's going to have, the opportunity to briefly, whatever, describe why they made the choices that they did, but everybody does have 3 big feels options available to them, and what those mean is that basically we're going to go on for like about the same amount of time, but with like more gravitas and possibly more pre-writing.
I see you've been keeping track of the development of my podcast, Miles Schneiderman.
I have been. So, after we've done all of that, we're going to combine all of our individual lists into one master list, and then combine them together and determine how our collective rankings stand. We're going to unpack some of the surely terrible decisions that our friends have decided to make today, before we get into the... Do we do the overall fuckability of Nick Cage? I don't know. Did we do that before?
We did.
We did last time, and it was for this particular crop.
Right, okay.
Was the way that we did it. So.
We'll give this one a separate evaluation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Ooh,
Love
yeah.
And
to
then,
see
of
how they
course-
compare, actually, and possibly
Yeah.
change the median.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, we're gonna tell you all what we learned today. Which, there's one actor you can learn things from.
Mm-hmm.
That man, his fucking shamanic acting style, you can learn a lot of things from that. As always, before we start off with this, we are going to hear the definition of fuckability, which is delivered by MeganBob.
Fuckability is not about what they look like, because they all look like Nicolas fucking Cage. It's about what they fuck like. So assume they are into you, you are into Nicolas Cage. How good is the sex, and what is it like?
Well, with that, let's get into our list, yeah? We have 15 cages here, and I don't think we have honorable mentions, so... because we want to save the other honorable mention characters for future Cagemas matches.
We sure
so with
do.
that in mind, here are the 15 that we're doing on this episode.
Number 1, H.I. McDonough from Raising Arizona. Fuck-up felon with a heart of gold who marries a cop, steals a baby, and goes toe-to-toe with a biker mercenary who's kind of the Grim Reaper, has the stamina to outrun an entire pack of dogs, so that's promising.
Number 2, Eddie King from Deadfall is maybe the wildest card on this list. He's a dark sunglasses wearing, weird mustache having, angry, sad man who screams half of his lines, growls the other half through his teeth, and dry humps the bed in rage. Tragically, this unintentionally hilarious gang member dies halfway through the film by way of his head getting shoved into a deep fryer, disproving the idea that everything is better fried.
Number 3, Doug Chesnick from Guarding Tess. Infuriated and sullen Secret Service agent charged with protecting an irascible former First Lady. Forming a closer bond with her, he goes from hating his job as her sub to being the man doming her into sitting in a wheelchair.
Number 4, Stanley Goodspeed from The Rock. The FBI's biggest nerd. He prevents a team of Marines turned terrorists from nerve-gassing San Francisco thanks to a team-up with Sean Connery and the help of some science Mardi Gras beads.
Number 5, Cameron Poe from Con Air, a long-haired, muscle-bound ex-Army Ranger who ends up imprisoned after accidentally killing a man in self-defense. He then finds himself embroiled in an airborne jailbreak when John Malkovich leads a number of other criminals in a takeover of their prisoner transport plane. Has strong opinions about bunnies and where they should go.
This implies that John Malkovich personally is a criminal
Yes,
and
it was
has
him.
relationships with other criminals, and I love that.
What?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't the actor John Malkovich. It was the character John Malkovich from the film being John Malkovich. Number 6 is Castor Troy from Face Off, a terrorist who attracts the deadly notice of the FBI in general and John Travolta in particular. Likes include headbanging to choir music, golden pistols, and peaches. Dislikes include having his entire fucking face stroked by someone else's entire goddamn hand, unlike literally everyone in John Travolta's family.
Number 7, Ben Gates from National Treasure. The only man in America who truly understands what the Declaration of Independence is trying to say. He's a historian who uses his knowledge of the Founding Fathers to hunt down a great treasure, and is perhaps the first and last time in cinema history that someone associated with the Masons was likable.
Number 8, Dave Spritz from The Weatherman, a Chicago-based television meteorologist who can't get his family life together for shit. He's got an ex-wife who's moved on, a pair of teenage children he's fundamentally unable to deal with, and a father who is desperately trying to sound American despite being overwhelmingly Michael Caine. Oh, and people keep throwing food at him for moving cars. Only the power of archery helps him turn his life around. Won't pay those dry cleaning bills, though.
Number 9, Chris Johnson from Next. A man with the highly specific superpower of being able to see 2 minutes into the future, he's stalked by the government to help prevent a terrorist-perpetrated nuclear explosion in Los Angeles. Unaddressed points by the film include, what the hell was he doing giving that kid a lizard, how was that an ending, and how in the actual fuck are we expected to believe that Jessica Biel wanted to fuck a stage magician?
Number 10, Joe from Bangkok Dangerous. An assassin in Bangkok who takes on a dum-dum apprentice while gearing up for a gig where he has to assassinate a number of targets on behalf of a Thai crime lord. All the while, he's falling in love with a local girl. He's bad with spicy foods, but he's good with boat propellers, elephants, and most surprisingly, our hearts.
Number 11, John Milton from Drive Angry. A sunglasses-wearing badass who steals a gun from the devil and escapes from hell to save his granddaughter from a cult. His car is also a sinner, presumably. It came from hell too, so it must have done something.
Number 12, Wiley from Jiu-Jitsu. The eldest member of a clandestine group of martial artists sworn to defend Earth from the periodic invasions of a single alien. He's kind of like if Yoda from Empire Strikes Back was also Joe Majors from Between Worlds.
Number 13, Hero from Prisoners of the Ghostland. A bank robber in a setting that combines feudal Japan and the Wild West under a post-apocalyptic umbrella. Hero is forced to go on a quest to find a wayward member of a warlord's harem under pain of testicular explosion, and ends up getting sucked into a revolution instead. Please, if you have any information about what this movie was about, call the number at the bottom of your screen now.
I like Prisoners of the Ghostland.
We know you're the reason we watched.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that. We know who to blame.
We didn't think it was a hate crime. Number 14, The Janitor from Willy's Wonderland. A nameless traveler strong-armed into being the caretaker for an abandoned children's entertainment center who finds himself accosted by the murderous haunted animatronics therein. He handles his own, but makes sure to spend time with his true passion. That buff, mutant, bland kid sure plays
a mean pinball.
And finally, number 15, Nick Cage and Nikki from The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Nick Cage is a Hollywood superstar. Nikki is a figment of his imagination that takes the form of his younger self. They have something of a contentious relationship, with Nick Cage struggling to take on artistically meaningful roles, and Nikki encouraging him to retake the glory days of his earlier career. Alas, Pedro Pascal will not be joining us in this fuck. More's the pity.
It's time now to unveil our lists and figure out where everybody ranked for us on this list of 15 cages. So as always, we're going to start with as always for 15 character matches, we're going to start with number 8. That's the median. We start with the median all the time. The median is usually 11.
You're on such a tight ship over here, Miles.
Bro,
How about we start each time with the median? This time, it's number 8.
No, that sounds way too complicated. But let us start off with Kit. Kit, who's your number 8?
Hero from Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Okay.
I think he's gonna fuck like there's no tomorrow. And if I was living in the setting of Prisoners of the Ghostland, I think I would too. It's gonna be bad, is what I'm trying to say. Dirty humping, and you're gonna have to be gentle because he just sustained severe testicular trauma.
I gotta go.
Oh.
Big feel.
Oh.
Hero.
Big feels for the median, okay?
Sometimes it'd be like that.
I don't know, man.
I know, the most conflicted feels.
Right, yeah.
I don't fucking know. I really don't. He's at the median because I am at a loss. I guess I can say that it would be novel to fuck a man who was so horny that he lost a ball to an ill-timed erection. But also, I don't think I'm ready for fucking someone who has had a profound dream logic spiritual experience out in the wasteland where he saw children through a sky window. No, you know what? I was willing in the first episode to fuck Tom Bombadil and see where the depths of Tolkien led. So I am ready to strip down and ride this man just to know what the fuck happens. But if I'm really honest, Hero seems like he just needs a really good nap. So
Wow.
I don't know. How about Hero, if you're listening, how about just a mid-tier fuck where we just enjoy it for what it is, and then we take a nap before we order onion rings on DoorDash. Is that what I'm gonna get from Hero? Buddy, I don't think Hero knows what I'm gonna get from Hero, so I guess we'll fucking see.
My median is also Bob, a character that I put there because I just don't know what to make of them. I should also preface by saying I have not seen all of these films.
Oh, Christ.
I only had a little bit of time to like try and bone up on some of the more recent Nick Cage movies.
Miles, you've
yeah.
had fucking years. We were watching these movies during Smash Fiction.
Not this one. My number 8's The Janitor from the Willy's Wonderland. I have not seen it. Like I said, I did not have as much time to catch up on my Nick Cage. I have 2 children and a full-time job, a more than full-time job. And also, the one night that I was able to catch on, it just wasn't beating out Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Sorry. I wanted to watch that one, so I watched that one.
Correct.
And so, I did some research to try and figure out what the janitor's deal was, and I am proud to say I still don't know. His deal seems to be that he fights animatronic things, and I just don't get it. Like, I'm not here to fuck Five Nights at Freddy's, man. I don't like that. The concept of that game, or whatever this is not fuckable to me. But also, it's not, like, not fuckable to me. Like, the people below him have, like, some kind of, like, better reason why I wouldn't want to fuck them. I just don't know who this person is. I was able to come up with no data, so he's the median.
I think you said 5 minutes at Freddy's, and I like that sounds like you're really judging Freddy's stamina.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Or like 5 minutes at your explanation, am I right?
Wow. Claire, who's your number 8? Fucking hurry up.
My number 8 might be a little on the long side because this is one of my big feels.
Oh no.
Straight out the gate. John Milton from Drive Angry.
Wow.
This is one of the films that I had not seen prior to this.
Oh, really?
But unlike Miles, I watched the 2 movies that I hadn't seen.
Well, because there were only 2.
I was not on this particular cage match. So, first of all, I didn't quite clock Nick Cage as Nick Cage in the first shot he was in, which is not a thing that happens often because of his weird blonde hair. It took me like a minute. I was trying to describe his like look and appeal, like his look, and what I landed on initially was Nicolas Cage as Donald Logue as John Constantine.
Wow.
But then Valerie put it much more succinctly. My girlfriend Valerie, who was watching it with me, put it much more succinctly when she said, "Oh, he's just Chad Kroeger." And I'm like, yeah, okay. So this is one of the few times in one of these movies that we actually see someone having sex, so we know how he fucks. He sits still, totally stationary, no expression on his face, fully clothed, while a woman is riding him and commanding him to move his cock. And yet, he remains totally still. I don't care who you are, you gotta be able to take some direction from your partner. If I'm riding you and I say move your cock, you better move your fucking cock. If I tell you to take off your clothes, you don't respond with, I don't disrobe before a gunfight. Because if you can't get naked and fuck me so good that I don't realize you're killing people all around me until I return to reality post-climax, how good of a supernatural fuck were you really? All of this being said, it is counteracted by the fact that that unlike a lot of people on the list, this is a genuinely good dude with good vibes. He is sort of honorable, good stoic most of the time, and most importantly does not try to fuck his much younger co-star. The sex itself may not be the best, but it is a supernatural fuck, and for a little while, I will be able to know that I made this sad leather jacket revenant feel a little bit better about himself.
No.
Well, that's all of our 8, so we're moving on to number 9.
Nope, I still haven't given mine.
Damn it! As I'm used to there being 4 people.
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Finally, Dan, who's your number 8? Who's your median? Dan, who I didn't forget.
My number 8 is H.I. McDonough.
Wow.
He's incredibly sweet, and he genuinely seems to care about those that he loves, so he will legitimately try to give you a good time. I think that's about as far as it's going to go. I don't really see him as being especially capable of providing you with anything mind-blowing, but if you want someone who's gonna try for an A+ and end up with a solid C, you know where to find him. In the Maricopa County Maximum Security Correctional Facility for Men, State Farm, Road number 31, Tempe, Arizona. He'll be waiting.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
a good
he
joke,
will.
though.
Thank you.
Because he's so good.
Okay, well.
More on that.
Yeah, to be continued.
All right, so now we are moving on to our number 9s. So let's go back to, I don't know, MeganBob. Who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Eddie King. I've never fucked a cocaine enthusiast before. And I guess if I have to check it off the bingo card, there are worse exemplars of the genre. But I get the feeling that he doesn't want to come so much as he really wants to yell about things. And look, I was on Smash Fiction. There is not nothing orgasmic about yelling. Like, come on, man. That said, I don't have 0% gremlin in me. I will absolutely lay a man down in bed, start riding that dick, and then when he's close, throw my head back and scream, "Hi, fucking yeah!" I'm sure he didn't expect me to steal his line, but this Joker's wild, bitch.
I'm going to have to cut in here because my number 9 is also Eddie King.
Wow.
Okay, go for it.
God, okay, sure. Bob, I expected, but Dan.
Yeah.
Well, listen, sometimes a character is a middle-of-the-road fuck because there's nothing really all that special about them to move the needle that far one way or the other. Eddie King is the other kind of middle-of-the-road fuck, the one where shit is so unpredictable and extreme that you could just as easily have the most incredible, transcendent night of your life as you could a deeply unpleasant screaming match that ends when Eddie unexpectedly passes out mid-sentence. The dude has so many drugs in his system at any given second that merely brushing up against him would give you a compound contact high that would render you unable to function properly for a solid week. It is always a trip with Eddie King, but whether it's a good trip or a bad trip is purely a roll of the dice or a dealing of the cards in this particular case.
Yeah, I actually also had Eddie King at number 9.
What the fuck is happening?
What the hell?
Claire, we're
sorry.
surrounded by fucking weirdos.
So, like, of all the characters that I'd put on the lower half of my list, Eddie King seemed like the least objectionable. And
wow.
He's like Dan was talking about, he's kind of a wild card. Yeah, he's kind of a wild card.
Sorry.
And also, like, to me, like, y'all know what my priorities are, and, like, Eddie King, he might not be great, he might not even be good, but do you know what he does have? Access to drugs. And drugs tend to make sex better, at least in my experience.
Oh.
So,
You have made this argument before.
Yeah, no, I know I have. I'm well aware. That's why this should be no surprise to anyone. So yeah, right below the median, I think that's about where Eddie goes. I think he's just like, there's factors that drag him up there above some of these others, despite the fact that he is the biggest weirdo on the planet.
I like this. I like that we're learning, like, people's tropes, you know? I am to rich as Miles is to drugs.
Yeah, totally. So, Claire, I'm assuming your number 9 is not Eddie King?
My number 9 is, believe it or not, I tried so hard to not make this happen, but has to be my second big feels.
Okay.
Wow.
My number 9 is Doug Chesnick.
Okay.
Huh.
So, every time I do one of these, less because of Doug Chesnick specifically, and just because I have to say a thing, and this is a good time to do it. Every time I do one of these, I try to challenge myself in some way, find new ground, a new approach or philosophy for going for this list. And last time I said this, putting this list together was pretty easy for me because we had isolated all of the variables but one. It's like, it's the same dude but different characters. So in some ways, this is a very easy list to do. In a sort of intellectual way, I can look at these characters and figure it all out on paper fairly cleanly. However, that wasn't enough for me this time. This time I wanted to feel it, you know?
Wow. Oh no.
And that's difficult for me because I'm not really capable of being attracted to dudes. So I was thinking, what if I recast every person on this list in my mind with a lady And then I could, if I'm ever getting stuck, because for some of these I'm just like, I don't know, this is just a guy. There's not really much data one way or the other. I don't necessarily wouldn't need to do this if, for instance, in my last character, we see them fuck. Or alternatively, we see how people react to them. Do people want to fuck them? Do people who have already fucked them want to go back for more? But if it's like Doug Chesnick, I'm like, I don't know. He's a guy. So I thought instead, who is the actress who could hit all of these characters? And for me, the answer is Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I can see that.
She plays hot. She plays, like, normies. She plays weirdos. She's my pick.
Yeah, you could see her in Prisoners of the Ghostland, and you could also see her in, like, fucking The Weatherman. Like, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in the same year, I believe, she was in Atomic Blonde and she was in Tully.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
She's playing the hot spy, and she's playing the mom who is, like, looking at the younger girl with like, oh, I wish I was still young and hot like you. So with that, looking at this, Doug Chesnick was suddenly unlocked for me. Because, Doug Chesnick, the president has an order for you. You need to go and dom the brattiest little sub who ever did live.
Wow.
Former First Lady, Claire Mulcairn.
All right, let's see. So that leaves us with Kit. Kit, who's your number 9?
Dave Spritz from The Weatherman.
Wow.
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 Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Wow?
Well.
What? Okay, I don't know which direction you would push him, but
Yeah,
we'll find out.
You'll find out, won't you?
Well, you all know by now how much I love a sad boy, so maybe that's where the wows come from. I don't know. But this one, y'all, this is one of them way too sad boys. And a fucking ain't gonna fix it, I don't think. Based on the issues we see him having with his ex, he's inattentive at best and outright disrespectful at worst. He is a disservice top and needs therapy that some blowjobs cannot provide, unless maybe they're Bob's cleric blowjobs. I don't have the training for this.
More on that soon.
Well, then we are descending down another low layer of Nick Cage hell. Let's go on to our number 10s. Dan, who's your number 10?
My number 10 is Doug Chesnick. And I did not go through the mental gymnastics of turning him into Charlize Theron. That might have altered his trajectory a bit. I'm presuming here instead that you're fucking Doug Chesnick at his most recognizably emblematic of who he is in the main story of Guarding Tess, which is to say, a disciplined but deeply put upon man, constantly tormented by the woman he's been assigned to protect. So, in this situation, like, you're his hookup for the evening after he's done with a particularly harrowing shift at Tess's house, which means you're going to get a very tired Dom who nevertheless very aggressively takes out some of his shit on you, although in a consensual way. Like, I don't think he's actively toxic or anything. So as long as you're okay with him sometimes accidentally referring to you as Tess, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Oh no.
Wow.
Claire, who's your number 10?
Ben Gates from National Treasure. Yet another one where I'm like, this is just some guy. And then I thought about sexy, nerdy Charlize Theron as girl Ben Gates. And I'm like, okay, suddenly the awkward bumbling and the knowing a lot of stuff about cryptography has become hot. Yes, please tell me about Ottendorf ciphers. Tell me about using the heat from your breath to serve as a reagent for invisible ink. Also, this character does not get laid much and would be appreciative.
Oh,
Bob, who's your 10?
Dave Spritz.
All right.
I really don't want him to fuck me. But I do want to see him come. He's gonna fuck me like a guy who knows that he's not living up to the hype, even as he is attempting to rail me. That's gonna be sad for both of us. Again, I want to see him come. Much better is blowing him with most of his clothes on. That's at least the kind of sad where we're like on the right side of that sadness. We're like leaning into it together. If this, I wear my socks rolled all the way up, motherfucker, shuffles out of his slacks, nothing good is gonna come. And for damn sure I ain't. He's got sock garters. Can we all just... we know.
Yeah.
He definitely has sock garters.
Yeah, for sure.
Put money on that.
So this is number 10, you say?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I
just making
definitely
sure.
want to see him come. It'd be hot.
All right. Kit, who is your number 10?
Castor Troy from Face Off.
Wow.
All right.
He can eat a peach for hours, but he's not eating that peach for you. He's eating it for him. He's not a service top. He's the kind of toxic top that you can only enjoy if you already hate yourself.
Fortunately for you, I do.
Some of us here going like, well, I mean, how dare you?
Right. Yeah, like and your point is? All right. Well, my number 10 is Hero. I did watch Prisoners of the Ghostland. I did not rewatch Prisoners of the Ghostland. I did do some brushing up to remind myself about it. The dude recently suffered a massive fucking genital area injury. I don't know if he's going to be in the mood anyway. But beyond that, he comes from a setting that is a combination of the Wild West and feudal Japan. Do you know, I'm not getting a lot of this guy knows what soap is vibes, right? I'm good. I'm all set with Hero.
Wait a second. Oh, no, okay. Well, I had a question, but I'm going to save it for Let's Unpack
Save
that.
it. Write it down.
I'll
Save
make
it.
a note right now.
All right. Or go down to number 11. Bob, who's your 11?
Wiley. What if I was fucking Tom Bombadil, but he was a burnt out stoner who didn't like conflict? I mean, Tom Bombadil, I guess. I realize as I am reading it, all of the mystery and confusion of fucking the unknown, combined with the tedium and predictability of fucking the unbelievably known. He's gonna fuck it up. He's just going to. I don't want him to, but he will. I know it won't be fucked up in some way that I would see coming. He's too weird for that. He'll be fucking me and then start to sniff me really aggressively and say something like, "Your hair smells like a dream I had about birds." Thank you? I mean, it's better than that one time the guy slapped me with his limp dick while anime played in the background, but it is certainly not good.
How did you know that thing I said to Dan? Are you just a camera? Your mic's in my room.
Wait, what?
About the birds thing, not the limp dick thing.
I was like, that's a matter of public record.
that
I was like,
was
did
another
both
time.
of you get slapped by the
I'm
same
writing
guy
down
or
some
a different
questions for
guy?
Let's Unpack
Lip
that.
dick while anime was playing?
Wait, did you have a dream where you smelled birds' hair?
Yeah, well, when I smell Dan's hair, it's like it reminds
All
me
right.
of a dream of
Claire,
anyway.
Claire, who's your 11? Claire, who's your 11?
My number 11 is Chris Johnson from Next.
Oh, wow, okay.
Look, I'm not usually very good at something the first time I try it. Even, sometimes sex with a new partner, it's, sometimes it takes a little while. It takes a few tries. You got to get to know them and their bodies and what they like, etc. I've often had the fantasy of being able to, rewind time to try to do something an infinite number of times until I got it right. The powers from Next has been, one of the powers I've fantasized about being able to have for a variety of reasons. These powers have the potential to be extremely sexy if used properly. However, the cruel irony of this is that these powers were given to Chris fucking Johnson from Next. Who I will point out uses these powers to try an endless number of times in this diner to seduce this girl, and he still can't do it. He gets tried so many times, and so we now
This is
see
Chris Johnson slander. You're just still mad that I won that match, is what's happening here.
I judged that match. I gave you the win.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you did.
So shut the fuck up.
Fair enough, point taken.
Yeah, this guy sucks. He can use his powers for a lot of things, but it does not. They clearly do not translate over into his romantic life, or he would not be in the sorry state he's in.
All right, Dan, who's your 11?
My number 11 is Nick Cage and Nikki.
Oh.
Oh, all right.
I'm the first person to talk about this pair on this episode, so I don't really know exactly how everyone here interpreted this particular character pair. But given that Nikki in Unbearable Weight is explicitly a figment of Nick Cage's imagination, I'm going to presume that this is a sexual encounter in which you're fucking Nick Cage with Nikki kind of like backseat driving. And that is a situation, sadly, that I think brings both of them down a few notches. Like, you know, Nick Cage...
Yeah, I can see that.
Nick Cage is a relatively well-adjusted actor who has, like, very grounded, realistic struggles with the relationships in his life. And Nikki is an absolute wrecking ball of coked-out energy. Like, either one of them on their own, I think, would be fine. Like, not great, but fine. But with each of them kind of, like, having their hand on the wheel to some extent, like... Your encounter is going to be very unpredictable, frenetic, and there's just going to like be a lot of second guessing.
Kit, who's your 11?
Ben Gates from National Treasure. I kind of get dad energy off of him, but like an action dad. Like if Indiana Jones was a dad. Oh wait, that happened. And we all saw how that went.
I can't poke a hole in that logic. There's nothing there. My 11's John Milton. Basically, like, this doesn't have to take long. The stuff that Claire said about why he goes higher because it overcomes the sex scene it's not enough for me. I'm sorry, the sex scene drags everything down. Fuck that guy. I'm not having sex with him. Alright, so that means we're moving on to 12.
Oh, Miles, guess what?
What?
Guess who's my 12? Fucking
Who's
John
your 12,
Milton.
Kit?
John fucking Milton! From Drive Angry. John Milton is what cishet men think is cool. Which is great for them. They can fuck him. If I'm getting laid, but suddenly I'm pulled into a fucking shootout, man, I would be so annoyed.
I'm gonna cut in here, because my number 12 is John Milton.
Okay.
Claire mentioned it. Like, we see him have sex with a waitress in Drive Angry. She comes on to him with the same tasteful, restrained subtlety of the car chases in that movie, explicitly telling him, in her place of work, how good her pussy tastes. And he still needs Amber Heard to clarify to him that he could perhaps get some from said waitress. And then we see them having sex, and he's still fully clothed, including sunglasses. Admittedly, like, the waitress did seem like she was having a good time, but, like, she was clearly bringing the most positive attitude possible to the whole situation. With John, you know, it's really a question as to whether the juice is worth the squeeze. I think your time would be better spent drawing sunglasses and a goatee on a blow-up doll.
All right, MeganBob, who's your 12?
Chris Johnson. He's gonna be extremely good. But it's not because of anything unique to our chemistry or because of something about how we connect to each other. And worse than that, it's not gonna be because he tried and got it wrong in front of me. It's gonna be because he just practiced in his mind until he got it right. If you're afraid to fuck it up in front of me, then you're afraid to let me know who you really are. And if you're afraid to let me know who you really are, then I'm not really fucking you, am I? I'm fucking a simulacrum. I'm fucking the performance of you that best suits my needs. My friends, that is not good sex. We call that customer service. Feel free to argue with me.
What's the difference?
Feel free to argue with me that there's a passion there that makes this less unsettling. But if I wanted to be catered to in a way that was ultimately manipulative, I'd just go to any upscale department store and let them caress my ego until I give up my credit card. At least then, I'd be going home with something to show for it.
Wow.
All
right.
Bob, that was art.
Yeah.
That was very good. That was very good.
Yeah.
Claire, not to be the person who makes you go after that, but who's your number 12?
Don't worry, I got this.
I know you do. I know you do.
Now for her third big feels.
No. My number 12 is Wiley from Jujutsu. You ever have a weird grinder hookup that as soon as you step in the door, you think, oh, I made a big mistake. And then get past that, you hang out for a bit, you have a chat, and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe he's kind of cool. Maybe I was judging too harshly. There is something about him. He's kind of smart, he's kind of funny, there's a mystery, there's something appealing. And then you hook up and you're like, nope, that was just a mirage. This is a very strange man. That is it.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good. My number 12 is Doug Chesnick. Fuck that guy, he's a cop. He's higher than the last three because he has to be, because they're so bad. But yeah, no, I'm not. This is not this is my particular. I think that like other people who have talked about Chesnick have like done a good job laying out the argument for him, but he is definitely like not my kink. Like I'm not out here having a fantasy about the president ordering him to come fuck me and like and that shit. Like that's not my jam. I fucking die in a fire. So with that in mind, Bob, who is your 13?
My number 13 is Stanley Goodspeed. Fuck this self-congratulatory nerd. Like in the pejorative sense. He fucks perfectly well, but the fact that he's gonna basically high-five himself after he makes you come is gonna destroy any potential for post-orgasmic glow. You gotta be serving A+ dick to earn doing finger guns in the mirror, and he's a B at best. I will say, put a gag in his mouth though, suddenly this is an A+ bottom.
Hey, guess what? Can I go? Because my number 13 is Stanley Goodspeed.
Go for it.
So look, he clearly has a big chip on his shoulder, very insecure, but he does indeed understand the fundamentals. If you just like calm down a little bit, stop posturing, and stopped trying so hard to prove that he's a big, strong macho man, he'd probably give you a pretty good fuck. But picture this. You're having sex with him. It's pretty good, actually. He's quiet. He's doing his thing. And you say, oh God, I think I'm getting close. And then he says to you, hey, do you like the Beatles? And you're like, what? And he says, well, I only bring it up because, we are going to come together right now.
Wow.
Over me.
Wow.
And then immediately that orgasm, which was so close I could taste it, will now end up in a similar state to Sean Connery at the end of The Rock. Gone forever, presumed dead. You know, deep in your heart, you will never see it again.
I was gonna say, that sounds like I'm never having an orgasm again. Alright, Kit, who's your 13?
Eddie King from Deadfall. This is a big
Wow.
feels. The degree to which I enjoy watching compilations of a Cage character is inversely proportional to how much I want to fuck that character. Audience, do yourself a favor. Pause this podcast, pull up YouTube, search for Eddie King Deadfall, and click on the first highlights video you see. It should be almost 7 minutes long.
You should definitely do it.
Treat yourself to a wonderful 7 minutes, which is something Eddie King wished could be said about him.
Oh!
Hey! Dan, how about you? Who's your 13?
My 13 is Hero. Call me a pessimist, but I look at this unwashed misanthrope who literally needs to have bombs glued to his testicles before he decides to help anyone else. And the first thought that occurs to me is not, I'll bet he'd be great in bed.
Alright, my 13 is Joe from Bangkok Dangerous, who we haven't talked about yet, so I don't know he's either high or low, very low. But Joe's a person who kills people for money. Worse than that, they're like, I could get down with that. Like, I'm not gonna fuck a hot hitman, come on now. But what really disqualifies Joe from consideration above this point in the list is the style of voiceover that he does in that film. Because I just like, I can't with that movie, I can't with fucking Burn Notice, I can't with any of these fucking movies that are like, I only have 3 rules. Rule number 1, never fall in love. Like, I'm just like, fuck you. He's gonna be doing that during sex. Do you not understand? Am I the only one who sees?
at least in his own mind, right? Even if he's not saying it out loud.
No, he's going to be doing it out loud. He's going to be doing it out loud. And I don't have any fucking time for it. Go do that somewhere else. Dan, who's your 14?
Good timing. My 14 is Joe.
Yeah.
And it's a big feels.
My feelings are about to be very hurt.
I'm sorry. Cover your ears. A lot of times the fantasy of taking a character like Joe to bed is the idea of breaking through to the hardened killer, you know, showing him the human connection he's secretly been wanting this whole time. And even though he always seems like he has one eye on the door, you're able to share something special with him, if only briefly. The problem is, Joe specifically is kind of that, but the whole eye on the door knob is turned way up. Like, he is so rigidly, dogmatically set in his lone wolf ways that whether he realizes it or not, whether he wants to or not, he will be actively looking for a reason to leave. And if he doesn't find one, he might just make one up. You may get to have sex with him, but don't expect to get terribly far past foreplay before he quotes some Code of the Assassins bullshit about sexual climax making you weak or something, and he jumps out the window.
See, Dan gets it. Dan fucking gets it.
You know who else gets it is me, because Joe Majors is also my 14.
Joe Majors, in from between worlds, swooping in to take
what
number
Joe is
14.
this? Is this just Joe?
This is just Joe.
This is just Joe.
Okay, yeah, Joe Majors would have been a lot higher. I just wrote down Joe. I'm like, oh, I forgot his last name. What is it? Majors. All right. Just Joe. My number 14 is just Joe. So look, with his ill-fitting polo shirt, greasy shoulder-length hair, and general vibe of being always sad and deeply uncomfortable in his own skin, Nick Cage in 2008 looks remarkably similar to how I looked in 2008. This is not a man. I know this man, okay? I know this man. I was this man. This is not a man who is actively deciding to look a certain way. This is a look that you only arrive at through process of elimination. Do I want to cut my hair? Not really. Do I want to wash my hair? Not really. What should I wear? I guess people like polo shirts. Girls like that, right? That's a good look. Fine, I'll wear that. Maybe that will get me a girlfriend. This man hates himself. He hates his body. He likes to pretend his body does not exist. He is only the things he does. He is not a person. And I'm not saying that he's an egg. There are other roads that will get you here, but I know that hollowness behind his eyes, and God, I am not willing to put in the work to try to break that. And even if I was, he couldn't handle me, because I am too spicy.
All right. Kit, who's your 14?
Wiley from Jujitsu. I don't want to fuck this martial arts caveman. And by that I mean a man who lives in a cave for reasons. Not a prehistoric human who knows martial arts for reasons. That would be better. Because then he would be interesting. Now, somehow, Jiu-Jitsu manages to make martial arts boring, and though Cage is far from a boring actor, I don't think he brings what we love about him to bad roles like this one. Unfortunately, there's more of that to come. One more to be specific. Please hold.
Yeah, my 14 is actually also Wiley. He is just an old guy who's like doesn't do like he's just nothing. He's fucking like he's like fucking a guy that like you found randomly wandering through the park chasing pigeons. Like that's what you're doing. Like he's a dude who like, you know, unfortunately like has a little bit of like dementia and maybe accidentally left home without his pants on. You know what I mean? Like you just but like the martial arts version of that, whatever that means. Which I'm not saying that's like a bad thing to be that person. I'm just saying I don't want to have sex with him. He's just like he's kind of the lowest of the low, or would be if not for my final pick, who is simply cannot be anything but the bottom. But we'll get to there momentarily. Bob, who is your 14?
Cameron Poe.
Wow.
Wow! Jesus.
Cameron Poe is gonna fuck me like a southern gentleman. I know he's an ass kicker, but he's too chivalrous to slap me and he's too chivalrous to pull my hair. He'll kill for me, and he'll be a good father to our adorable child who he has never met. But that's not the same as making me go wide-eyed. So, thank you for your service, and thank you for looking so hot with long hair. But I'm going to just jerk off about the things I wish you would do to me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Tough but fair.
Yeah, I can't really argue that hard with it. All right. Claire, who is your 15? Your bottom of the barrel. We are down here at the bottom of the list. Worst Cage character of the selection. Who is it?
It simply cannot be anyone other than Eddie King, and I don't know what the fuck is wrong with all of you. This is only one of, one or two Cages on this list that I just feel genuinely unsafe around at all times. Watching this performance, just all of the hairs on my body are sticking up. I must get out of here as soon as possible. There can sometimes be a version of Dangerous that is sexy, more on that later, but this is so extremely not that. One of the most inscrutably erratic performances ever captured on film. This man has not ever maintained a single emotion for a full 10 count. Here is what the experience would be like. I want to fuck you in the ass. No, I want you to fuck me in the ass. No, I see how you're looking at me. You hate me, right? You want to fucking die!
Still better than my 15.
Oh,
Still better.
again. Yeah, I think so too. But again, I can't argue with the logic. Kit, on that note, who is your 15?
Joe from Bangkok Dangerous.
Yep. That's fine.
Wow.
Bob knew this was coming. Bob's gonna be the only one coming. The three of us. If this movie is any indication, I am going to start scrolling through social media within seconds of him going down on me.
Wow.
Oh, Kit did a little hair toss.
MeganBob, I know that Joe is not 15 for you, so who is?
Ben Gates.
Wow.
I think that the only thing he really gets horny for is history. So what do I think it's like to get railed while someone is watching Ken Burns? Slow. Reverent.
Slightly distracted.
Thought-provoking? Is that good? I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you've ever wanted to fuck the experience of a Peabody Award.
All right. Dan, what about you? Who's the bottom of your list?
My 15 is Dave Spritz.
Oh.
Wow.
While Joe is the sort of person who will pull the plug on a sexual encounter if something goes wrong, fucking Dave Spritz is like fucking an unmoving sex doll where if you do anything wrong at all, he's going to completely flip out and either go into a depressive episode or start breaking things.
Oh.
You would have to do everything perfectly right from start to finish, and maybe he would finally relax a bit and allow himself to be happy. What a miserable time. The fact that he probably smells a little bit like apple pie and chocolate frosty doesn't even make up for it.
Well, Dan, this happens too often when we're on the same episode.
Uh-huh.
My 15 is also Dave Spritz.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can... okay, I do know. What am I talking about? I do know. I know you people. I know what's appealing to you about Dave Spritz. I understand this about you. To me, the opposite of fuckable is pathetic.
Oh, wow.
And there's nobody on this list more pathetic than Dave Spritz. There's nobody on this that I just kind of want to go ew and brush off the bottom of my shoe. Beyond that, it's a truism that we see too often these days in the modern world that every accusation is a confession. And I think that Dave Spritz would give very unenthusiastic blowjobs. I think that's self-reflection. That's something that's his own problem. I think the blowjob enthusiasm is not going to be there, and you add that to just like everything fucking else about him. My God, I hate that man so much. 15 with a bullet. I think that's it. That's all of them. That's all the ones on the bottom. That's all the bad ones.
Oh, we're in hell. We're in hell with fucking that car that sinned.
and John Milton.
John Milton's car.
We've sinned by fucking Joe from Bangkok.
But now I will step in and saying, because I know Miles didn't write anything, we are now going to escape from hell in a stolen car.
Yeah, there you go.
With the gun of good sex.
Unfortunately, there are no ruggedly handsome car thieves around to help us out, so we're just gonna have to do this ourselves.
Hey, guess what? My number 7 is Dave Spritz. I'm cutting in here because all of you are talking shit about Dave Spritz, and he's my number 7.
Okay, he's your number 7. Let's go for it.
I discovered something about myself a few years back. There's 2 kinds of movies that I like. It's what if a girl was gay, or what if a man was very sad? Those are my 2 modes. And for that reason, I have always loved The Weatherman as a movie. It's had this weird place in my heart. I don't think it's necessarily great. It's kind of flawed and fucked up, but I love it more than it deserves. And that is how I feel about the character of Dave Spritz as well. I love him more than he deserves. You compare him to someone like Joe, who is on paper in certain ways somewhat similar. You know, dead inside, vacant eyes, etc. I mean, setting aside the killer thing for a moment, I just mean in the sense of like, oh, this is a person who is just like kind of given up on life, disconnected from reality in various ways. But the thing about Dave Spritz is that he is on the verge of becoming a better person. That is kind of his whole thing. He's trying. He is failing, but he is trying. And that hunger that he is going to have in himself, he wants to be a better person. He wants to love life. And he's trying anything he can to get a little bit of happiness. He's learning archery. And you know what? That means he knows how to hit a target. And I feel like this man needs a manic pixie dream girl to come into his life, and he is going to give her a really good fucking whoever she is. And if that's me, and I think he's going to give me a perfectly, wonderfully enthusiastic blowjob, Miles. Like,
wow, all right.
And he is going to make me...
I hope he does, for your sake. You are my friend, and I want you to get good blowjobs.
He is going to make me like a rock. All right, that is all.
Okay. All right, moving on. Kit, who's your number 7?
Stanley Goodspeed from The Rock. Incidentally.
Appropriate.
Yeah. He's a good guy, I think. So I genuinely think he'd take care of you, but he also tries way too hard to seem cool. I cannot disagree with you on that. He's definitely going to whip out some bright green anal beads and tell me how they're modeled after this absurdly dangerous gas that would melt my skin off before causing me to spasm so hard that my back breaks. And then I'd have to inform him that he just lost his chance to make me spasm so hard that my back breaks because he just melted my boner with that chemical weapon nerd shit.
I'm going to step in here for just a hot second because my number 7 is also Stanley Goodspeed.
Hey.
Okay.
And, you know, this at number 7, he's one slot above H.I. McDonough on my list. And I think from my perspective, the two are very similar. You know, they're both kind of like awkward guys who mean well. And he's going to try to give you an experience that's actually like well beyond his ability to hit. But like the intention itself is kind of endearing. He edges out McDonough slightly just because I would love to hear how his tendency to avoid swearing by instead using very strange and somewhat literary non-expletives would manifest in his moment of climax. You know, be like, oh, geez, oh, gosh, I'm gonna Vesuvius, you know, something like that.
Oh, no.
Wow.
No.
All right. Well, in that case, Bob, please give us your number 7.
Doug Chesnick. He wants you to slap him, and he's mad that he wants you to slap him. Normally, you don't want a sub who's angry at himself and you, But the premise is that he wants what I'm selling enough to go through with it. And goddamn, is he gonna look good with a handprint on his face.
Yeah.
Does he scowl when he comes? Yes, he does.
I guess that means it's me. My number 7 is H.I. McDonough.
Wow.
Look, it is your business if you want to fuck Woody the Woodpecker.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
That's not just me interpreting. That's his explicit. That's like the explicit character he modeled that performance after. Yeah, McDonough. Like it's been said, he seems like a nice enough dude, but I agree that his skills are not gonna match his his demeanor. But I don't know. Like I couldn't put him below the median because he just like seems like he'd be really fun to hang out with and like have a little sex with, and then maybe steal a baby. You don't know.
Absolutely.
All right, I think that moves on to number 6. Bob, who's your number 6?
Nick Cage and Nikki. Fuck Nikki and make Nick Cage watch. Cock Nick Cage with Nikki. Cock him. Cock him so hard. Fuck this dorky leather-wearing tryhard. Do that thing where you grab his hair and then bite his neck really hard and watch Nick Cage just angrily and helplessly jerk it in frustration. Watch Nick Cage jerk off to you fucking an avatar of him. No, you know what? That's not galaxy brain enough. Make Nick Cage come as quickly as possible, then make him watch you and Nikki fuck while you make fun of him for not being able to get it up and do anything about how unbelievably hot and frustrating it is that you are jerking off Nikki onto your tits. Really, there's no wrong way to do this. There is not a wrong way to do this. The only important ingredients in this sandwich are that you fuck Nikki, you don't fuck Nick Cage, you make Nick Cage watch as you go over the top with Nikki. As long as Nick Cage is frustrated and humiliated, it's gonna be unfucking believably hot. I love you, Nick Cage. You're wonderful. Thank you for all of the many films that you've made.
Beautiful, Bob. Thank you for that. Claire, who's your number 6?
So, just to be clear, after everything I said about Dave Spritz, we're still in mid territory. I just want to be clear, because I was very enthusiastic. And the trend continues slightly higher, still mid, with my number 6, which is Cameron Poe. Beautiful hair. Simple, golden retriever of a man.
Yes.
Strong arms will give you a very respectful fuck. Much like Bob said. Just a little too tender.
Yep.
Imagining this as a beefy-armed Charlize Theron did help. But look, if you got someone with those big, strong arms, you don't want them to be gentle with you.
Correct!
And the combination of good plus stoic in that way is not great. He's not hiding anything. There's nothing to unlock. He's just not that emotive. It would just be, fuck, that was wonderful. I love you so much. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I don't think I want his bunny anywhere near my box.
Oh, damn it. You beat me to the joke. That's fine. You had him lower than me.
I would like to jump in for a second because my number 6 is also Cameron Poe. I think there's something to be said for a smart, sweet guy in extremely good shape who's somehow able to maintain a long-term relationship through a prison stint that lasts the better part of a decade. I would just say, like, don't try anything other than relatively vanilla sex with him. If you try to get rough sex out of this guy, you will more than likely end up accidentally dead. And Cameron Poe can't go back to prison. The guy deserves a break.
And he's on parole. Don't ask for too much.
Yes.
An explicit part of his parole agreement is no kinky shit. You can't
That's
choke.
right.
You can't
That's
slap. The parole officer will be in the room keeping a close eye on you.
All right, Kit, who's your number 6?
Chris Johnson from Next.
Yep.
Why is Cage so greasy in this? Like, I'm sure this slimy seer could technically use his future sight powers to find a series of sex moves that lead to a climax, but an orgasm in and of itself does not make sex good. You're ultimately going to be left lying there just as confused and disappointed as everyone who saw the ending of the movie Next.
Oh.
All right. My number 6, I don't know if I suspect this might be controversial, but I don't know. I haven't heard his name that often, so maybe not. My number 6 is Castor Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wait a second. Wait a second. What the fuck's wrong?
I just, look, he's hot. I'm sorry. The energy is hot. And you know the energy is hot because it's still, because the way Travolta plays the character later in the film, the reason Face Off is so good is because Travolta, they both do a good job, but like Travolta specifically plays that character like a really hot Nicolas Cage. Like the energy suffuses the entire thing, and I'm sorry it's fucking hot. I'm not always the person who does the villains on top. I know that, but like in this case, yeah, I think Castor Troy's really good in bed. Sorry. This is the place. This is the official part of the list where like people become actually good at sex, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Not for me yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Moving on a little bit higher at number 5. We're in the top 5
I need to go because I'm not sorry.
Nah.
Okay.
Big feels Castor Troy. This was so hot, I wrote a fanfic about it.
Hell yeah!
Mhm.
Shit.
He's jerking off while watching you change for dinner. He pulls out his golden gun and throws one to you. Race you to the finish line, baby. And then points his gun at you. Look, this is for me, not you. You know that there's probably no bullets in them. Probably. But there might be. You lunge for the strongest vibrator you have because you're not going to lose this. You kneel over it, riding it hard, trying to hold your arm steady and aim the golden gun at him. You gonna pull the trigger if you come first, he leers. Guess you're gonna find the fuck out. You come with a force that still catches you by surprise, the way it always does when you're with him. You swing the gun down and shoot through the mattress. The unmistakable feeling of a bullet leaving the barrel causes your arm to shudder, like the rest of you is shuddering with the aftershocks of that tidal wave orgasm. He throws aside the gun and stands over you, coming all over the dress you were going to wear to dinner. I win, you pant, and I want a goddamn prize for that bullet shit. What do you want? You're going to eat my peach for hours. He looks hungrily at you while I watch anime on my phone. His eyes narrow.
Yes.
You think you won't pay for that? You shiver. I'm counting on it. Ah!
Nice.
He's so hot!
I'm scared.
As I said, Kit, for me, not you.
Oh, yeah.
Who is your number 5, kid?
The janitor from Willy's Wonderland. Nick Cage himself said that this character is whatever you want him to be. We are free to interpret this character as we, the recipients, see fit. So that's gotta extend here to hard choices, right? Do you believe he's a sex god? Does he fuck like he fights? Or does he fuck like he dances? What's in those cans he keeps drinking? Taurine and aphrodisiacs? Based on my own personal experience of the movie, I don't think I believe enough. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think I'm worthy. My mind isn't ready, so there's no way my body is ready. Not for this wandering spirit of whoop-ass.
I would like to cut in
Ooh.
for just a second.
Go for it.
Because my number 5 is also the janitor.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You guys are converging.
I know.
You really are.
We're fusion dancing right here.
Is this going to be like a really excited high five while we Eiffel Tower him, or very confused, like, eh?
I mean, it's Nick Cage, so I think we both know the answer. Willy's Wonderland is the story of a man who is presented with a pretty shitty deal and proceeds to basically make the best of it with nothing but determination, gumption, and some surprising mop-based combat prowess. Imagine,
Come on, Dan, don't sell yourself short like that, buddy.
Imagine, Miles, what this guy could do with a good situation. One where things aren't actively trying to kill him. We do see glimpses of this in the movie, you know, those scenes where he takes some time to pound energy drinks and go to town on a pinball machine. If you can provide him with a can of Punch energy drink, he's going to turn into a sexual Popeye on you, working your body like it's a pinball table, his fingers on your flippers, racing for that high score.
See? Dance worthy.
Yeah.
All right, well then, Claire, who is your number 5?
H.I. McDonough. So, squeaking in just barely above Cameron Poe. These two switched places a couple times. Imagining both as Charlize Theron did help. But the difference between H.I. McDonough and Cameron Poe is that H.I. McDonough's got something to prove. And although on paper Cameron Poe should be the more appealing fuck, there's just some weird alchemy of this dirty criminal that is so much more appealing than a strong-armed good boy. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to give up the strong arms for this, and I don't fully understand why, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna be so present.
Yes.
He's just gonna be so excited to be fucking you. And we see, you know, as I said previously, one of the biggest things that bumps somebody up for me is seeing a review from another character. And we see how Ed treats him when he walks in the door. She leaps up onto him and is just kissing him all over the face. So, he's doing something right.
Well, my number 5 is Stanley Goodspeed.
Oh.
I hear and understand the criticisms. Obviously, he's like an FBI agent or some shit, so like fuck that all the way off. However, first of all, The Rock did come out when I was a certain age, and the sex scene with what's-her-name is really hot. She's really hot. It was very formative. Second of all, like, all this shit about how indecisive he is and, like, sort of how, like, he comes off in The Rock as very timid and, like, I mean, not timid, but, like, at first he's very, like, you know, out of his element, right? And I think people think of the character like that because that's what so much of the movie is. Like, the majority part of the movie is is fucking Sean Connery doing his thing while fucking Goodspeed's over here like, but, like, at the beginning of the film, he's a very confident nerd, which I like. I love me a confident nerd. And he's fucking, like, I don't know, it seems like he's confident, he's skilled, he's smart, he knows what he's doing, and the only reason why people think he's otherwise is he spends the majority of the film in a situation where he's just, like, objectively not prepared. I think he's prepared to have sex. It certainly looks like it from what I saw of the movie. So, beyond that, he's gonna go at a good speed, alright? So, he's number 5.
Alright.
I think that takes us up into number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do I want to hear about 4? I want to hear Kit's number 4.
Oh man, no lie, guys. I have been I just reordered my top 3 and I'm questioning my 4. Y'all make good arguments. All right. It's too late for me to change anything.
If you want, I can call on somebody else first if you want a little more time, Kit.
No, it's good, it's good. I will commit. This is actually a big feels. My number 4 is Nick Cage and Nikki from The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I hesitated with this character at first because I don't want to rank the fuckability of a real person. However, Nick, spelled N-I-C-K, Cage, is Nicolas Cage playing a parody of himself, the way he's been perceived both on and off screen. And that character seems charmingly sincere. Though he's far from perfect, he tries to do right by the people he loves. And then there's Nikki, the imaginary version of Nick's eccentric self from the, his young wild at heart days. If you're fucking Nick, I don't believe you're gonna see Nikki. But, I mean, as hot as Bob's scenario was. But Nikki's gonna be there, In fact, if Nick suddenly stares off into space like he's being berated by someone you can't see, and then the next thing you know, Nick's committed to that fuck, like he's making a film, like he's making art, just going full NC-17 Zandali.
Yeah.
You'll know Nikki was there.
And that was where I carried you.
What about this place on the beach where there's cum all over the ground?
That's my favorite beach.
Yeah, my number 4 is also Nick Cage and Nikki. So, full disclosure, I watched Unbearable Weight for the first time today.
Oh,
wow. Congratulations.
and-
Lucky you.
Thank you.
good day.
Thank you. I don't always know what to do with the threesome characters when they appear. In this case, first of all, I am also interpreting, as far as I was concerned, you're fucking two different characters, because he's playing two different characters in the film. So, I'm not interpreting this as, like, you're fucking Nick Cage with a K, and then, like, Nikki's, like, there in the sex. I'm assumed you're being doubled by two Nicolas Cages, so that's what's happening in my universe. And from that perspective, the idea of being in a threesome, because the whole thing about Unbearable Weight is that, like, it's almost like a yin and yang thing. It's like the two parts balance each other out, right? Because, like, Unbearable Weight is about the making of Unbearable Weight, and, like, why the movie is half, like, is about the conflict between, like, the struggle to want to make good art and be an artist, and the struggle to want to make money and be a movie star, right? So, like, the two personas are sort of complementary but very different. And to me, that's like it's like playing football and, like, you have, like, your pieces just, like, fit together. Like, this action is going to go so well because these two characters both do different things extremely well. So everything's being very complementary. And so to me, I should have said big feels before this because it was supposed to be, but I forgot. Anyway, to me, like, basically the idea of, like, being fucked by Nick Cage and Nikki is essentially, what you're essentially doing is you're being fucked by the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Oh.
And I had a good fucking time with that movie. I really enjoyed myself. So yeah, number 4, let's go. Claire, who's your number 4?
Hero.
All right.
Good for you.
All right.
I guess I'm not surprised.
Look, this is one where I simply have to look at the text of the film. This isn't me making a decision. This is me. I am like Benoit Blanc. I am observing the path of the stone and seeing where it lands. Every lady in this movie wants to fuck him so bad. Especially, well, maybe not our actual named characters, but, like, the crowds of nameless women are so fucking horny for him. They're just, like, indescribably horny. And all of the dudes are like, he's so fucking cool. Oh my God. And there's a bit where he gets pulled out of his jail cell and they're, like, changing his clothing. And there's a woman who's drawing him. And as soon as he gets his underwear taken off, she looks at his dick, presumably, and her jaw drops, and she starts erasing and redrawing, because apparently she was guessing, but she could not have captured the majesty until she saw it with her own eyes.
It's a big assumption.
Well, a small assumption, presumably.
Small assumption and a big reality.
That's right.
And look, if I am doing my cheat for this, and I get to apply this to Hero, I get to now picture Charlize Theron in this road. We're getting very close to Furiosa. But instead now, black jumpsuit.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Black jumpsuit and some balls on her nutsack. So, yes, I would indeed.
And the Charlize Theron thing might move Hero a little bit higher on my list, but I didn't do that. But that is a good point.
I'm doing it for all of them. So it's even across the board.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're still at number 4. Dan, who's your number 4?
Big feels. Ben Gates.
Okay.
Sell me.
There's something to be said for a man with the commitment to get a job done, regardless of the lengths involved, and who isn't afraid to look ridiculous while doing it. The whole world-hopping, puzzle-solving, treasure-hunting side of his personality, I think, could cut either way. On the one hand, if you let him poke around your house for like 30 minutes before taking your clothes off, he'll be able to put together enough context clues from your interior decor to figure out exactly what he needs to do to push your buttons just right. On the other hand, if you take your shirt off and you have any tattoo on your body that's even vaguely suggestive of something relating to American history, you might accidentally trigger some sort of flash of revelation about something he's been trying to work through for weeks now. You know, oh, I like your magnolia tattoo. Wait a minute. Magnolia. The state flower of Louisiana. The St. Louis Cathedral of New Orleans. Of course. How could I miss it? And then he runs out the door, grabs his coat before you even get to second base. And I realized I was going a little Jimmy Stewart with my impression.
Yeah, you got there. With that said, I really want Nick Cage to play Jiminy Cricket.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm dead. I'm destroyed.
Bob, who's your 4?
Joe.
All right, tell me why.
Only 4? Oh.
Awkward fuck. Awkward fuck! While I was busy studying the dick, he studied the blade. For me, this is a dream come true. Someone hyper competent in an area, but awkward and unsteady in sex and affection. To quote Kit, I'ma teach him. It's not gonna be good. It's gonna be tremendous. It's gonna be everything you want from someone who has that enormous capacity for tenderness, but zero skill at opening up to it. This is about fuckability and not necessarily make lovability, but Joe has that capacity. And a lot of cages just don't. That in and of itself makes him a standout on the list. Anyone can fuck. And he can probably be taught to fuck. Like, for sure, the boat chase scene says he's got the follow through, the determination to do crazy shit. But his default is always going to be smiling down at you like you are a gift from the heavens. And that is worth a lot.
Can't
right.
mess with the I'ma teach him clause.
Yeah, yep. We wrote that into our constitution.
We are at number 3. Number 3, let's go to Claire. Claire, who's your number 3?
The janitor.
Yeah, I knew there was another one coming somewhere.
Yeah. And it's gonna be me. Sometimes you just want a simple, efficient, blue-collar fuck.
Do you?
I certainly do. Just, we see this man is just good at everything he does. He's a technician. And you know what? He takes breaks, which is good, because this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. This is going to be an all-night affair. You got to stay hydrated. You got to stay energized. And just about everything about this is perfect, except for the fact that, as I have said in the past, communication is so important to me. And on paper, this guy's going to be doing everything right. Just everything perfect. But he's not going to say anything. And so I'm just like, seriously, every 5 minutes, I'm just going to turn to him and be like, are you mad at me? and you know what? That's just a me thing. That's just a me thing. I cannot,
No, it's
I am
also
not
a
the
me
right
thing.
target for this. But apart from that, 10 out of 10.
Dan, who is your number 3?
Oh boy. My number 3 is Wiley.
What the fuck?
Oh, okay, sure.
Call me an optimist. But I look at this unwashed misanthrope with a penchant for weird mind games and practical jokes, and the first thought that occurs to me is, that dude could rock my world.
Dan, I hope it works out. I want this for you.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate
I
it.
don't.
Bob, who's your 3?
H.I. McDonough. He and Holly Hunter's character absolutely fuck like dogs. Some men have an artistic skill for oral sex, but H.I. McDonough 100% just goes at a pussy like it's a pie eating contest. He's not real smart, but he's got the raw animal physicality that says, I can and will fuck you in a broom closet if you want me to. And baby, I want you to.
Kit, who's your 3?
Cameron Poe from Con Air. Just wants to put the bunny of his heart into the basket of your... that metaphor broke down almost immediately. I'm sorry, everyone. What I'm trying to say is that he's romantic and he's strong. Everyone's right. He's not like fun. I actually had to move him down because y'all maybe realize, yeah, he's not fun. But
Oh.
He could definitely bench press me, so number 3 it is.
My 3 is also Cameron Poe, and it wasn't going to be a big feels. I don't know if it is or not, but the slander that's been leveled against this man. Like, I get that he's not going to, like, pull your hair and fuck you from all different positions. Like, that's not his skill set. But the place, you know how, like, sometimes you'll see, like, characters in video games, you'll see, like, their skills, and they, like, kind of pop out, like, the good ones are, like, it's, like, really long, and then, you know, his, like, the make love skill is off. Cameron Poe, in terms of, like, not fucking you dirty, but, like, making love, and, like, he holds you in the big, strong arms and tells you how much he loves you, and, like, and just the very, like, classic, and I understand that it's, like, a very classic, like, hetero fantasy, but, like, he is, like, he's not just a top 5 Cage, he's, like, a top 5 fictional character at that. Like, that man fucking turns his head, his hair waves, and he smiles at me, and I just came. So, like, yeah. The only reason he's as low as he is for me is because the other two I think are fucking higher.
Wow. That's beautiful.
I'm not opposed to making love. I love some making love. I want to make love with Cameron Poe, but that's just a...
But what if he was Charlize Theron, though?
All right, we'll talk about that later, I guess.
All right. So that means we're here at number 2. Let's see. Who do I want to pick on? Dan, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Chris Johnson. Yes. Of course he's going to give you an incredible time. Of course he's going to be able to hit your sweet spots immediately. He's going to know your body better than you know it yourself. He's going to know exactly the right things to do and say during aftercare. On paper, it should be the most perfect sexual experience imaginable. But when you lie there, breathless from another perfect orgasm, and you look with affection and appreciation into the eyes of the man who just got you there, you're going to see the dead-eyed expression of a person who has had to personally, deeply experience 50 or 60 disappointing alternate versions of this encounter, and who's too much of a perfectionist to allow any of them to stand.
My number 2 is also Chris Johnson. Basically what Dan said, but without the caveat at the end. Chris Johnson is awesome. Obviously, like, fucking... I think Chris Johnson is going to be the best sexual experience on this list. Even though I have him at number 2. I think this is the best you're getting. Because you have the best sex. He saw all the visions, and this is the best one for both of you, not just for you. Like, this is the best case scenario. And I don't know about the last thing Dan said. I don't really care. That's a fantastic experience. That's all I got. I don't know how you could argue that.
I am so sorry for both of you that this is your fantasy, and we'll talk about that more later.
Oh wow. Okay. Anyway. Kit, who's your number 2?
Woo-wee! Let's go on over to Tempe, Arizona for H.I. McDonough. There's something incredibly charming about doofiness to me. He's so salt of the earth in his own Arizona trash kind of way. I gotta believe that sincerity translates to the bedroom as, like, fun inhibition. However, still a traditional guy. It's gotta be just the two of you. And if his repeated gas station robberies are any indication, he's not very creative. So, I think if you're willing to bring the creativity, he'll bring the fun. He'll bring the doof. Yeah.
Bob, who is your number 2?
John Milton. I'm not here to defend my personal taste, but I'll just say that I love a sweaty, drunken fuck. And John Milton will give me that. If you can taste the liquor on someone while they pin you to the bed, then please send me a postcard from one of, for me, the most magical places on earth. Disney, get on my level.
And Claire, who's your number 2?
It's fucking Nick Cage. And Nikki.
Sure.
Look, I had in the last one of these, surprisingly high on my list, was Nick Cage as real person Charlie Kaufman.
Right.
Because I was like, hey, guess what? If you're an artist and I like your art, I kind of find you sexy, and I maybe want to do stuff with you, and I maybe want to pick your brain about your art. And this is Nick Cage playing a fictional version of Nick Cage, but not just that. Whereas Charlie Kaufman was a shittier than real life Charlie Kaufman, this is a slightly better than real life Nick Cage, from what I have gathered. This is a sort of idealized Nick Cage. Unlike actual real life Nick Cage, this one wears makeup over his tattoos because he said, this version of me has been divorced less. Which, this is not the real life person Nick Cage. This is the idea of the actor Nick Cage that we all have in our minds. This is Nick Cage as we want him to be. Who will talk to you about, who is open-hearted, who is a good dad, and who will talk to you about movies and art. He will watch Paddington 2 with you in the post-orgasmic afterglow, and he will cry. And also, this version of him is is a big enough ham and self-indulgent enough that he will do impressions of his other characters. So in some ways, this is the shapeshifter fuck.
Ooh.
And you want to make requests like a jukebox, he's going to be down.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I believe that means we're on to number 1. We are here at the top. We've arrived. And since I already know who it is, we might as well get it out of the way. MeganBob, who is your number 1?
The janitor.
I wasn't counting cards. I was surprised.
Single-minded determination. He doesn't mind wearing the shirt for Willie's. He doesn't mind that it's full of murderous robots. He just wants to play a little pinball, drink an insane amount of energy drinks, and make this place spotless. Have you never experienced the silent brute force physicality where someone didn't even seem to hear the sounds you were making? They were on another plane of existence where all that exists is fucking you with the single-minded determination to do what they have decided to do. I'm sorry you haven't had the pleasure of being fucked by a controlled force of nature like that. You don't always meet tornadoes, but god damn, take the chance if you get it. Also, it's really hot to watch a man clean things. I don't know if that's problematic or not, but I want it either
That's a
way.
good point.
Fuck, it was so hot to watch him clean all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I wasn't counting cards either. I just assumed Bob's number 1 was Dave Spritz. I forgot that they had talked about him earlier.
No, I'm the one that likes the sad ones, but you know.
Oh, he a good sad fuck.
All right, well then, kid, who's your number 1?
Shocking to me, especially because I just rearranged my top 3. Big feels Doug Chesnick from
What?
Okay.
Yeah, strap
Why?
in.
Go off.
Me. This one's tricky because I've met people whose work personas really differ from their out-of-work personalities, but assuming he's about the same, I don't think you're going to get a lot of really kinky play out of him. However, it is no secret that he is absolutely into service. He would spend as much time as you need for foreplay. Secret Service does a lot of waiting around. He would fuck you in whatever completely legal way that you want, maybe even flip fuck. And of course, he'd be there with the aftercare. He wouldn't let you waddle over to the toilet like some little cum-smuggling penguin. No. He'd already have a towel ready to go. It'd probably be one of those warm, damp towels that rich people get on first-class flights. I don't know what those are for, but I bet it would be really nice on a coochie. Anyway, Doug Chesnick fucks, Your Honor. I don't fucking know.
Cum smuggling penguin. That's my persona.
That's an all-time Bon Mo. That is just like
that's
amazing.
really. I can't even be mad about it because of that line.
You all see it so clearly in your minds.
All right. Claire, who's your number one?
I'm sorry. I didn't want this to happen. I really didn't. I tried to avoid it, but I'm so sorry. Big feels. My number one is Castor Troy.
Yeah!
Okay. So we have this question sometimes about what makes a good villain fuck or what makes a bad villain fuck. And I think a lot of the time it comes down to this idea of, do they have people in their life who they are not shitty towards? Are they just terrible to everyone all the time? Or is there an inner circle that once you are inside, you are safe and protected, and it's you and them against the world? And in so many ways, like, it's so strange because you would think that Castor Troy is this completely unhinged, violent, destructive force of nature who cares about no one. But we see, in the way that he treats his brother, he has so much affection for the people that he loves. And also, in the way that all of the women who have fucked him in the past treat him when they see him again, we know that's gotta be a fucking amazing time. When he comes back to his base, Sean Archer in the body, but two extremely hot women come up to him and begin to fight over him. One says, "I'm your favorite." The other one says, "I thought I was your favorite." Then, if this wasn't enough, we later see Castor meet Sasha, as played by Gina Gershon, who is ostensibly just a very normal, insane human being. Asterisk, she is the ex-girlfriend of Castor Troy. However, what she does when she sees him is say, "I thought you were dead," and then she punches him. And the confidence you have to do that to Castor Troy, to realize, oh, he loves me, he's not gonna hurt me, even if I fucking punch his lights out. And I watched an interview with Gina Gershon, and her description of this character was, she says, even though she hasn't seen him for many, many years, she's obsessively in love with him. She isn't a bad person, but she's fallen in with the wrong crowd. He isn't the nicest guy, but he's very sexy, and everyone loves the bad boy. She describes him as big and wild, dangerous, and fun. All of that. And then you picture it as Charlize Theron saying to me, "If I were to let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful?" And at that point, I just lose all composure.
Yeah, hang on. Castor Troy's going up for me. I'm making this official change right now after that because I couldn't agree more. Not only one spot, but he's going up to number 5 and bumping Stanley down to number 6.
I would like to jump in here for just a quick second.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Because Castor Troy is my number one.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
What the fuck? Ever since
That's
Tiamat,
amazing.
I don't know you anymore.
And this is a big feels. Yeah, Castor Troy is among the bigger pieces of shit that Nicolas Cage has played as an actual literal terrorist and child murderer. He is also one of the better fucks that Cage has played. Claire, you and I clearly see Castor Troy in the same way, hence why we ranked him in the same way. He collects something of a menagerie of hangers-on in Face Off, at least a few of whom seem to be either past or current sexual partners. They see him as the life of the party. A lot of that almost certainly comes from the fact that he's the one who provides them with drugs. But he is a fun-loving guy, even if that fun is of the kind of twisted variety. Claire mentioned this. Like, we talk on this show about villains who are pieces of shit to everyone in their lives, but that's not Castor Troy, If he's into you, he will see you as part of his inner circle. He'll take it upon himself to show you a good time, to keep you laughing, to impress you with his wealth, and all of that is before he even turns his attention to your peach.
That was beautiful. I love that both of you had Castor number 1. I loved it.
I don't know if we've ever been so aligned, Dan. Our tastes don't usually line up
Yeah,
that much.
turns out when it comes to Nick Cage, you and I are on the same page.
Yeah. Maybe you really are my brother.
Maybe.
All right, well, that just leaves me. And my number one is also Big Feels. And it is Benjamin Franklin Gates.
Wow.
Now, I've already said that I think that the best sexual experience on this list is coming to you courtesy of Chris Johnson and the power to literally see every future and choose the best one. Ben Gates is like a sad piece of shit. Who cares? Like, fucking, like, bad at everything, probably. Like, I fucking, except for, like, knowing about, like, the fact. Like, he knows about the founding fathers, but you can't even give him credit for that because, like, the reason he knows about it is because he grew up in a family that was obsessed with them. Like, that's not even, it wasn't even, like, his choice. Like, he had to, like, think, when I was 6 years old, I decided I was going to learn everything about George Washington. No, his fucking dad taught him. His grandpa taught him. Come on. He doesn't even get credit for that. Okay, he sucks. He sucks. This isn't about him. This is about me. All right? Because what's going to happen here is that I am going to seduce Ben Gates.
Oh my god.
And the way I'm going to do this is going to involve lots of little puzzles, lots of word games. And then at first, like the answers to all the clues lead directly to one place, which is right here between my legs. I'm sorry. Can you find the spot? Because you should be able to if you deciphered the clues, motherfucker. You want to see an enthusiastic blowjob.
Oh my god.
But then as we continue, you know, presuming a long-term relationship at this point, I'm pretty sure I can get Ben Gates to fall for me. I know how he works. It's very easy to manipulate him, as we see.
Sean Bean did it.
Yeah, exactly. As the relationship continues, and I continue, you know, sort of at this point, like, you know, leave little mysteries for him is like part of our relationship. It's oh, you left me another one. You made another one, another maze, another game, another set of clues. But as time goes on, they're going to start leading a little bit away from the sexy times and a little bit more toward unpacking and disproving all of the lies that he believes about the founders of the United States of America.
Fucking god. How did
I know.
And we are slowly, over time, going to just completely erode that man's faith in every institution that he once believed in.
Oh my god.
Just because he's not dumb. He was just, like, raised in a cult. He just needs to be deprogrammed. So we're gonna do that, using his hyper-focus on the thing he loves most to do it, and eventually send the crashing reality into his brain of what this country actually is. He's finally going to understand, intuitively, in his core, what this is, and who those people were who decided to make it. And in that moment, I am going to dump him by text message.
Holy shit.
I thought you were going to say, in that moment, I am going to come harder than I have ever come in my life.
I mean, not mutually exclusive.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I sent him a text message. His phone is in the room with us.
Oh my god, Miles. I mean,
yeah,
sometimes I think I'm a bad person on this show. You're gonna break a nerd's heart.
This is how I take my revenge on America. Again, it's not about him. It's about me. But if you want to know what's going to cause me to have the biggest orgasm, I've just laid it out to you.
Oh
Ben
my
Gates is
God.
number one. Thank you.
Holy shit, Miles.
Take back what I said about Castor Troy. He got out villained.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Castor Troy, get on Miles Schneiderman's level.
With a slightly larger amount of trepidation than I usually have when I say this, it is now time for Let's Unpack That.
How do you think you're not gonna fall for him? He's so bumbling. Come on.
I don't fall for the bumbling people that you fall for, Bob.
Oh, wow. Well, red meat of filth. I guess that's asked and answered.
Bob, I would like to ask you a question.
I bet so.
You ranked Cameron Poe exceptionally low.
I did.
By far the lowest that any of us did.
Yes.
And your main objection was that, more or less, he was too Southern. Like, he was too much of a Southern gentleman.
Yes.
I would like you to turn your mind back now, a few months, to when we did Bad Choices Hanna-Barbera.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And you opined at length about Huckleberry Hound, who, if memory serves, I think was your number 3, explicitly because of how much of a Southern gentleman he was.
Okay.
Can you delineate the difference between those two characters in your mind?
Gasp.
Yes, I can. Very, very clearly, very easily, is that Huckleberry Hound, as a human being, you have to go with me on this, would definitely have a veranda. And there would be mint juleps that I could drink on this veranda. And he definitely has the little hat. Cameron Poe, where is my veranda?
So it's the accoutrement. The imagined, I will point out, accoutrement.
Yeah, I mean, where is Cameron Poe gonna fuck me?
Oh, so it's the different. Huckleberry Hound is, in your mind, a fancy Southern gentleman.
Yes.
Whereas Cameron Poe is...
He's the man who
meat and potatoes.
He could slap me, but he fucking won't.
Do you think Huckleberry Hound would slap you?
No. But he has a veranda.
He dresses like he wouldn't slap.
So
you.
basically, it's like, on the questionnaire of, will MeganBob fuck this character? It's like, you need to check one of these boxes.
Yes.
Either you will slap them, or you do have a veranda. If you don't check either box, you do not pass the approvals process.
I mean, there's other boxes. Like, there's multiple different boxes.
Sure.
But if you're checking
It's a whole flow chart.
Yeah, if you're checking none of the others,
I see.
You're gonna have to clear one of those. And, like, the problem for me is that Cameron Poe gives everything. He has everything going for him in terms of, like, what he could do, but it's everything he would never do.
Okay.
But he's capable of doing it.
That gap is going to distract you, right?
Yeah, I would be like, oh my god, you could do this better than anyone if only you would. If only you were a piece of shit, but you're not.
No, I actually see Bob's perspective a lot better on this now.
I mean, I want to have a baby with him. Like, of course I want to have a baby with him. And I shouldn't say he's not enough of a piece of shit. Like that's the wrong way to approach, like, rough sex. But still, like... all the promise, but cannot follow through.
He don't got that dog in him. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know.
He's only got one mode.
It is, yes. He only has one mode, and it is apparently chasing John Malkovich.
Whenever he fucks, just like soft rock starts playing. Like, he cannot give another fuck than the soft rock fuck.
You just triggered Kit. Kit is lost in a reverie.
How can I breathe without you?
I love that song. That got me. I was like, okay, yeah. And he's strong. Okay.
I know. They play a snatch of it in Unbearable Weight. And I was like, oh, there you are.
I just want to clarify, Miles, because I forgot, or maybe Dan, you have a good memory. Miles, where did you put Cage's character from Pig when we did that? Where did you rank him?
I mean, he was like number 2 or something.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, Your Honor, Miles did just say he doesn't like Hero's unwashed vibe. So what's the difference between Hero's nasty ass and Mr. Pig?
Mr. Pig!
I mean,
they call him Mr. Pig.
There's no comparison to me. He's a dirty man who lives in the woods and, like, doesn't shower all the time. Hero lives in some combination of the Wild West, which is, like, they don't ever show it, but, like, everybody in that fucking time period had halitosis. Everyone. And feudal Japan, this is not, I have gone into the woods and I have forsworn the modern comforts. This is like, fuck modern comforts. I'm gonna die in 2 years.
No, feudal Japan fucks with a bath. Nobody fucks with a bath like Japan, okay? So
I will say, I just watched Shogun. They bathe it all the time in that.
Yeah, they love a fucking bath. No, but like,
All right,
Mr.
fair
Pig?
enough. It doesn't seem like they do in that world, though. No.
Hero had no options. He had bombs strapped to his balls. He had shit to do.
Right. No, that makes it more hot, kid. When the person could have taken, like, remember
I'm with Miles.
Pig is the guy from Pig is somebody that we're fixing. Like, that's where
Kit, sometimes it's about the showers you're not taking.
yeah, you have to like dig deep into why he's not taking the showers and help him heal the pain. He made these choices. This is agency. He decided to do this because of the pain that he's in. Whereas Hero just like happened to fucking be born in a hellscape.
All right, I'll allow it. You brought in kind of the sad argument, and I'll allow that.
I also do have one general question for the room.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is like, can you explain this janitor thing to me?
No.
Is this just everybody's interpretation of this? What actually happens in the movie that is causing this character to rise up to potentially number 1?
Have you never watched somebody do something so well while everything was falling to shit around them and just keep doing it extremely well?
I guess I haven't.
It's really hot. It's real. Okay, you know what? Okay, picture Charlize Theron. Go with me on this. Go with me on this. Everything is trying to murder her and like keeps leaving a bunch of ominous messages everywhere. She wipes them up. Like picture her kind of dirty and
Coveralls.
And frustrated about this whole goddamn day. And then a gorilla leaps out of the bathroom and tries to kill her. She beats the shit out of it until motor oil is all over the floor. And then she kills it and then just starts mopping it up. And is like, fuck this day.
Yeah, it's like the weirdest reverse horror movie where the monsters are actually the ones being hunted.
Like, does irritated Charlize Theron in coveralls mopping up
No.
mechanical monkey blood?
You know what's sexy? Confidence and competence.
Yes.
And that's what this is. That's what this character has. Just this silent, head down, doing the work, like stoicism, and like, I gotta get through this, and a little bit put upon, but it's just, I think there's something about it. You're like, oh, this is a person who just will get the job done. And I think that's it. Yeah. I think that's what we're attracted to.
It's the confidence with no hint of showboating, right?
None.
Like,
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no cockiness. There's just competence and confidence.
Yeah,
And
unlike, for instance, a Stanley Goodspeed,
And
Sure,
the appreciation of a job well done. Because, like, whenever something's clean, there's a real, like, good, that's clean now. I did what I came here to fucking do. And,
Okay.
like,
All right.
that's how it's going to be. It's like, you come really hard, good. That's what I came here to fucking do. Or even just, like, you're sweating and, like, your world has been rocked. Good. That's what I came here to fucking do.
Okay. All right. You're selling me on it. I like it. I'm gonna have to watch this movie, I think.
It's not good.
No, you really shouldn't. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not good. What?
Oh, okay,
well, I'll put it
good.
this way. Don't watch it alone.
There
Perhaps
you
if
go.
you
Yeah.
have some friends over,
I don't know.
you'll have a fun time. But
It's fun
don't
to
just like
wa-
don't
I-
just like watch it like it's a movie, because it certainly is not.
I hate horror movies, and watching Nick Cage destroy a horror movie character by character was unbelievably satisfying.
All right.
Bob, I have a question I'd like to ask you.
Yes.
So you and Kit famously, as you put it, are at opposite ends of the bar,
Yes.
right? You tend to be very attracted to very different types of characters, and
Generally.
one of the biggest differences between you and Kit most of the time is that Kit tends to go for virgins,
Yes.
for characters who are like very inexperienced.
Yes.
And you very famously tend to like throw those in the proverbial trash bin. Except when it comes to Joe.
Yeah.
Now, Joe from Bangkok Dangerous may not textually be a virgin.
Yeah.
But like the ways in which you described
But
him,
emotionally.
the things that appealed to you most about him were his grotesque, and I'm editorializing here, his grotesque inexperience.
Yeah.
So what is it about him that it draws you in, whereas that same trait in so many other characters has actively repelled you?
He dangerous, except in this.
Interesting. So you like a virgin who has put their points into other skills aside from sex.
Oh, yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
no, like tons of abilities, but none in this area.
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh, I get to be the one taking your hand and like, you know, going, I'll show you a world of whatever. I don't know the song.
Sounds like somebody who is a virgin but doesn't have any of the stereotypical characteristics of a virgin.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The rarest kind.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult to find. Kit, where did you put Dave Spritz?
Dave Spritz was at 9 for Kit.
Okay, Kit, how is he too sad? I guess, like, because, I mean, he is really sad, and I feel like he's really sad, but, like, I just am surprised that he was too sad for you because you do love him. Is there the innate caginess?
No, it was like sadness in a way that
It's not funny?
how to explain. Yeah, I mean, it's a sadness that like he needs to work out enough to not be a bad person. You know, that kind of sadness that makes you really selfish.
Yes.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah. So it's
Now, if it was Charlize Theron, you think that... Sorry.
I actually have one. I forgot that before we move on. Dan, Miles, both of your descriptions for Next feel like they were written, obviously, before you heard me and especially Bob's take on it, of the idea that my take was sort of like, I feel as though even with a million tries, this guy still just doesn't really understand other human beings, and he still just might not get there. And Bob's of like, even if he could, there's something very creepy about that, and you're not really connecting with another human being. And I know that it's clear that this was not a thing that factored into your decisions before, but I'm just curious for you to talk about a little bit, now that you've heard these other arguments, these other perspectives, does that move the needle for you at all, or how do you respond? How do you feel about these arguments?
In terms of the argument about, he's shown like not being able, like, just because he has this power doesn't mean he successfully like can make it work to the nth degree every time or whatever. Like, so he'll fuck it up or whatever. To me, if there is a possibility that the sexual encounter is literally the best possible sexual encounter of every possible option, I think that's worth rolling the dice. I'll try for them. I'll be ambitious. I'll be optimistic. I'll try for them boxcars. Like, I just think the potential reward is so great.
Sure.
That I don't see how you can pass it up. Regarding the other one about the you're not really sleeping with a person, that might be slightly philosophical for me, for my pea brain, but I think that I'm not gonna like know about it. You know what I mean? Like, unless he confides all this stuff in me, I don't necessarily know that's what's happening. I just know that I've met this guy who just rocked my world. So like, maybe it wouldn't be the most like intimate, deep connection with another human being, but if we do land on the scenario where it's the best possible sexual experience, because like, if that's the case, then there's no scenario in which he's not that, right? If by the act of going through all the scenarios and choosing one, he is, there's no version of this in which he's not doing that.
Yeah.
So considering that like you're always going to be with that person, the best case scenario is the best possible sex with that person, I'm still going to take that. Like, again, I just want to emphasize, in all the infinite possibilities, It is the best one. I think that's worth striving for.
Yeah, for me, like, I mentioned the lack of a human connection, or like kind of the emptiness at the core of him. And for me, that's why he's not number one. Like, I think if we are respecting the text of Next, which asterisk, not necessary. It's what I chose to do.
Does not deserve any.
It's what
respect.
I chose to do for my method. I don't begrudge anyone who takes a different tack there. But if we are respecting the text of Next, it's like he has such an enormous edge over everyone else, even people who are like naturally more talented or charismatic or empathetic than he is. Like, he has such an inherent advantage that I cannot ignore it. You know, it's like if I'm taking it seriously and I'm taking like the premise of this show seriously, which is which of these characters is going to give me the best time sexually. And part of that is also, not to give away my final ranking of this particular batch of Cage characters, not a lot of these characters I think are that great in bed. You know, like the last batch we got, I think was a lot.
You're not wrong.
The last batch we got was a lot stronger. And like, if one of them has the ability to like predict the future with an astonishing amount of like accuracy and like attention to detail, that's going to give you an enormous leg up over a field of characters who I find broadly pretty bland. So that's my take on it.
Like, Moonstruck Cage beats him because it's not just one scenario that's the best thing ever, it's every scenario.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, that's obviously that, but I should also say I have a fondness for this character because for the very reasons we're discussing now, this character quite accidentally won me a Cage.
Yes.
So, because I'm just never going to forget the experience of watching that movie and being like, oh no.
Yeah, Miles is remembering the time he literally came in his pants when he won that Cage.
Yeah, no, I did.
It would be interesting to see some charts comparing like how well we ranked characters versus whether or not we represented them. Like, if there is a notable bump and I represented this character in a Cage match, therefore I want to fuck them more.
It's inverse for me.
Yep.
Yeah. We know the types of characters you pick, so yeah, I think that's fair, Kit. Yeah.
The reason the connection stands out for me is because Chris Johnson won that Smash Fiction match for the same reason he's high on my list. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. The plot is so fucking stupid, and the fact that he can do the thing they say he can do is so fucking ridiculous that you just like can't ignore it. It has to be considered because it's so massive and game breaking.
Yeah.
It is truly a bizarre film.
Yeah.
I have a question for Dan, though.
Yeah.
Why the optimism about Wily? Where does that come from for you?
I'm curious about
That's a very good question.
If I don't ask you about this, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. What happened, Dan?
You know, there were most of the time when I do these, I tend to get real intellectual about them because that's like kind of the only way I can approach it in an honest way, especially when it's all dudes in the way that this is. There were a couple of characters on this list where I kind of just like shot from the hip. Like, I just kind of took, and if you listen back, you can tell exactly which ones they are because my two descriptions are intentionally mirrors of each other. So there were a couple of characters where I just took a quick vibe check and I just was like, yes or no. Why it was Wily and not someone else? Could it be perhaps that I was faced with the possibility of having to rewatch parts of Jiu-Jitsu and I decided that my time might be better spent doing other things? Who's to say? Who's to say?
I watched a compilation because I care about this show.
Right. Well, I mean, who's to say I didn't do that, you know? But
I'll say I didn't do it. I didn't watch a single frame of Jiu-Jitsu for this. I watched it before and I regretted it.
So, in any event, what it comes down to is, I'm just like, the dude he's a little bit of a scamp, you know?
He does have scamp qualities.
He's a little bit of a mischief maker. Like, he's experienced, but he's also, like, a little bit kind of attention-starved. You know, it's like, I don't know.
You're selling me.
Like, he's
moving up the list.
He's a little bit of an asshole, and he's a little bit of a pedant, But at the same time, like, I just think that, you know, if you're in a situation where you don't have to fight an evil teleporting vape alien, like, I think he'd be good. Like, I think he'd be looking for an outlet, and I think he'd be bringing some fun energy to it, you know?
You know what? You are talking me around. You know what? I do want him to smell my hair.
There you
and
go.
Tell me that it smells like a dream he had about birds.
Do you want him to put a little newspaper hat on your head afterwards?
Oh, you know my love.
You know Bob and hats.
I will be wearing
Yes.
it during. I'm like, yes, please let me wear the newspaper hat during sex. That's and you know what? He'll appreciate it. I misjudged Wiley. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Thank
I got you,
shown
bud.
me the light.
I don't think I did. I'm satisfied with my ranking of Wiley.
I mean, I'm satisfied with, I think, our collective ranking of Jujutsu as a film 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no
Yes.
question there. All right. Shall we move on to the final rankings, Miles?
Nobody wants to unpack my relationship with America, huh? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's
That's
nothing
fine.
to unpack.
Yeah.
We get it.
Miles,
I don't like it, but I understand.
Miles, I've been
Like,
unpacking that with you for like 20 years now, bud.
yeah.
I know, but I just need more help.
No, go to therapy like the rest of us.
Write a manifesto like a normal person.
You're just asking for more time on the mic to rant about politics, and I'm not going to enable you.
Fine, be that way.
Yeah,
all right.
look, it's not like you can't have a blog.
Let's get it.
All right, let's move on to the final rankings. Dan, what does it look like?
All right, so at the bottom of the list, number 15, I'm so sorry, Bob, is Joe from Bangkok Dangerous.
You know what? That's fine.
You tried to get that elephant toucher up. That sounds so much worse than it actually is, but alas, there he lies. Number 14 is Dave Spritz.
Oh. I mean, that's where he belongs.
Oh,
He's
poor-
sad, but I like him.
Yeah.
At number 13 is Eddie King. Like,
Why is he above Dave Spritz? I cannot with you people. All
At
right.
least he's fine.
I can imagine having a good time fucking Eddie.
Yes.
Where it'll
Oh,
make
no.
Dave Spritz more
No.
sad and therefore more fuckable.
that's a fair point.
But Claire, The Weatherman is a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
It is, but that is not a good fuck make.
At number 12, we have Wiley, despite my best efforts. Number 11, we have Stanley Goodspeed.
Okay.
At number 10 is John Milton.
You're welcome.
Interesting.
Number 9 is Hero.
Okay.
Number 8 is Ben Gates.
Wow.
Oh.
So that's the median.
Our median is Benjamin Franklin Gates.
That feels right, actually.
that was my fault.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Number 7 is Doug Chesnick.
Wow. Okay.
Number 6
How does
is
that happen?
Number 6 is Chris Johnson, which, like,
No.
boy, oh boy, the
Yeah.
hatred for that character. Rightfully so. Yeah, anyway.
You got 2 number 2 votes and ended up at number 6.
Yeah, we litigated this one already. Number 5 is Cameron Poe. At least he bit Chris Johnson. That's fine with me.
At least he got the top
Yeah.
5. That's all right.
Number 4 is Nick Cage and Nikki. Number 3 is H.I. McDonough.
Yes.
And in a two-way tie for first place,
wow.
is-
Oh, wow.
Castor Troy and the Janitor.
Oh, who's gonna die?
Incredible.
I think Castor Troy.
Incredible.
Castor Troy's gonna
Oh,
die.
Castor Troy's gonna die.
Yeah.
Complete opposite characters of never speaks and won't shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Seemingly a pretty good dude and the worst person.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we've discovered, like, the 2 opposite poles of fucking Nick
yeah,
Cage.
very much
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
so. Ugh.
I guess fucking Nick Cage and having it be good, I guess I should say.
So that's our list. Joe at the bottom, Castor Troy and the Janitor on top, Ben Gates smack dab in the middle.
That doesn't feel wrong.
Yeah, that's about
No,
right.
it really doesn't. Well, now it's time to, as Dan alluded to earlier, talk about where we would rank this selection of Cage characters as a whole. So Dan, since you brought it up, why don't you kick us off?
I have to give this like a 3. It's like the last Cage episode we did a couple of years ago. I think I gave a 7. Like, I'm not into Nick Cage, but like I had to acknowledge like the just like kind of sexual energy of it, and the whole like if I'm taking the premise of the show seriously, like how many of them are going to show me a good time, and like how good is it versus like how bad some of the lower stuff on the list is, and like this list is so aggressively uninteresting but it's uninteresting only in retrospect. Like only when I look back on it, I'm like, maybe the top 2 or 3 on my list are like fascinating. Like the top 2 or 3 and the bottom 2 or 3 are fascinating. Everyone else is just like, they're just dudes basically. Like, and not especially interesting dudes. And that's grading, like that's acknowledging that they're played by Nick Cage.
Yeah.
So that is really saying something.
Damning.
So like, yeah, I have to give this a 3.
This is me being very generous. I'm also going to give it a 3.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I gave the last Cagemas maybe a 10?
You gave it a 9.
A 9?
Yeah. As I believe you said, I'd fuck every last one of these motherfuckers, but some of them only once. I believe this is a quote.
How did you just have that quote to hand?
Because that's what I've decided to devote my brain space to, Bob.
Amazing.
So I have to give this like a 4. And
Wow.
I know, because and it's not because like I've lost my taste for this. It's just so few of these are doing something. As Dan said, so like Stanley Goodspeed is fundamentally just a dude.
Yeah.
I know, and that's tragic. That's tragic. We could have had I could have been fucking like 10 out of 10, but so many just dudes.
Yeah, I think that, like, in terms of fuckability, I would also be down there with you. I think 3, 4, maybe a 3.5 would be the place to be. Like, I would definitely fuck the top 5 characters, and after that, it's kind of meh. But, like, I found this collection of Cages interesting because, like, the list was really hard to make because you really had to, like, kind of dig deep into and I think it would have been a different experience for me if I had seen more of the films. That didn't help. But I do think that, like, in general, these Cages tend to blend together more than they tend to stand out.
Yeah. Which is tragic.
I'm fairly certain that last time I gave the whole thing a 3. And that was because I felt like, although there were some good things about some of them, pretty much all of them had a but. You know, it was like, there were none of them, like, even my number 1 is like, but can he please take a fucking shower? You know what I mean? So I think that, like, they were all imperfect in different ways. The weird thing is that on paper, I feel like this list should be worse for me, but for some reason, I think it was because I looked at this list and I thought it was kind of boring, and so I challenged myself. I'm like, I need to go deep until I find feelings, you know, however deep I need to get. And it worked, and so now I do have strong feelings about some of these, possibly even more so than I did last time. And, like, for that reason, I feel compelled to give this actually a slightly higher rating than I did the first one.
Oh.
But like, looking at the text of it, I just don't think I can justify that, like, logically. So I think we're gonna split the difference and just keep it the same. I'll keep it right at 3. And I will just pat myself on the back for working as hard as I did, but realize that this is me doing the work. This is not the list.
All right. Well, now, with that out of the way, we've come to the end of our show, but there is one last question, as always, that we have to ask, which is, how did you like how that shit works? Oh, wait, no, that's not the right one. It's actually, what did we learn today? Claire, I feel like you were just sort of elucidating a little bit of what you learned today. If there's anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, doing the gender swap thing has helped me gain a bit more appreciation for the dirty rat fuck. Which has eluded me for a while, and I think I'm starting to appreciate. Also watching the film Love Lies Bleeding, which features some dirty rat girls that do
I've
some
heard
dirty
it's very good.
rat girl fucking. And also, H.I. McDonough is basically a dude version of the main character from Drive Away Dolls, which is a very Raising Arizona-esque new movie by Ethan Coen that is about dirty crime lesbians, and I love it.
Yeah.
But I watched 2 movies for this as well. Bangkok Dangerous for the first time. Bad. Do not recommend. And I watched Drive Angry for this, and I had a delightful time.
Drive
And
Angry is so fucking fun.
It was Torque-esque. If you've not seen the film Torque, watch Torque. Seriously.
Oh, Torque is
But
so good.
they were just making so many choices at every step of Drive Angry. It was so trashy, but it was trying stuff, and it was weird. And the thought that I had in the middle of this was, I would be happy if Nick Cage only made these kinds of movies. And that is a thing that I cannot say about most of his other movies. And it's not his best movie. And obviously I like him doing the more, Pig, the more Oscar-y stuff. But if he could only make one kind of movie, I think I would want it to be Drive Angry likes.
So when we first started this recording, Kit ran out and grabbed a special Nick Cage votive candle and lit it. And it's been sitting here in front of me and Kit and Bob the entire time that we've been doing this. And from time to time, I've had to address an issue or come up with something insightful to say. And I just look into the eyes of this saintly Cage, the candle burning gently, and I can feel the connection, and he gives me the insight to carry on. So I think what I've learned here is we need a lot more of these votive candles because there's a lot more episodes of Hard Choices, and I need this kind of insight. So this is gonna be my what I draw upon going forward, my method going forward.
I learned that apparently a man anticipating my needs with a warm, damp cooch towel so that I don't have to degrade myself like a little penguin trying to make it to the toilet. That goes a long way. Apparently all the way to number 1.
Wow. Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Wow. I learned today that maybe like therapy might be a good idea. I don't know. I don't have a ton of experience with it, and the last time was not great. So, I have not. Anyway, moving on. Bob, what did you learn today?
I learned that we really watched some mid movies.
Yeah.
For the Cage match every year. And I think we didn't realize how mid at the time because we were only watching them in batches. And so it was limited exposure to the midness. And so every single Cagemas, we would experience like a lot of operatic highs and lows. And then there would be some mid in the middle, but it would be in the context of really operatic highs and lows. And this didn't have all of that to really kind of like help buoy it. And that it was just bizarre to be confronted with, like how much we have watched that. It made me remember watching Jiu-Jitsu. And like, that didn't even, like, Wiley was easily the best part. Like, by far the best part of that Tony Jaa was great.
Yeah.
But god damn, what the fuck?
The worst thing you can say about Jiu-Jitsu, I would go further. He's kind of the only part of it, and he's a small part of it.
Yeah, he's
and
the only
rest
movie that's happening. That's it.
And then the rest of it
not
is
a film.
just nothing.
Yeah.
And it is one supporting performance, and then just packing peanuts. And like, that is the film.
one of the things that I loved about Unbearable Weight, and it's not like what the movie's about or anything, but they bring it up at the beginning of the film, is just like the idea of like fucking how much the man works.
Yeah.
Like, the reason that we're going to encounter selections like this is because he just has made so many fucking movies. And it's what makes digging into his filmography so interesting, because he's also made so many different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
But, like, in between the really crazy shit, like fucking Vampire's Kiss, and, like, the actual good shit and the action movies and the fucking character pieces, everything. In between, you just got like, oh yeah, he was in Deadfall. Like, oh yeah, Drive Angry was a thing. Like, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the Guarding Test movie existed.
I want to say, in response to what Claire said about Drive Angry, I am so mad that there's not a Drive Angry sequel.
Drive Angrier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it begs for a sequel.
Boat Angry.
No, it begs for a sequel, like a real fucked up Crowley and Aziraphale.
Yeah, you just want to see John Milton and the accountant kiss.
Yeah,
you can say it. It's fine.
I do. I'm gonna go check for fan fiction later.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in to this, our second Cagemas in July. Probably not our last Cagemas in July, if I'm honest. Although we are gonna have
I doubt it.
We're gonna have to go spelunking, and we're gonna have to really commit ourselves. We're gonna have to set up a steady diet of Nick Cage movies to rebuild our coffers. And
Well, apparently I haven't gotten the chance to fuck Memphis Reigns yet, so that's happening.
yeah, and we have not fucked actual Cage Dracula yet. And
Right.
no, there's so many Cages yet to fuck. And I for one want to fuck them. Yeah, thank you so much for coming and doing this. Thank you for journeying through these cages with me. Would anyone like to plug something? And Dan, I really hope you'll plug Smash Fiction.
Oh, sure. Yeah. This entire premise spun out of a podcast that the five of us plus a sixth used to do for a good 4.5 years. It was called Smash Fiction. It involved us taking two or more different kind of fictional characters and setting up a debate around which one of them would come out on top in some sort of contest or battle or what have you. And our annual tradition, right at Christmas time, was to do the cage match, in which we would just throw a bunch of characters, all played by Nicolas Cage, at each other and see which one we thought could come out on top in a pro wrestling cage match. Smash Fiction has a very large back catalog of a bunch of matches that we did. We did a bunch of other non-match stuff too. We kind of expanded out into other kind of like crossover related stuff as the show went on. I'm still really proud of the show. I think all of us did a really good job with it. I think it's extremely listenable. And it's the sort of show where, like, especially if you're just listening to the matches, like, you can just jump in with whichever one sounds interesting to you. Yes. Like, whichever one has characters that you're interested in, or like a setup that sounds interesting. And just like listen to it, see if it's right for you. But yeah, no, it's I think it's a good show, and it's where this whole thing comes from.
Yeah, it's what introduced me to podcasting.
Yeah,
I have not been on this podcast in a while, so I'm going to take a minute to plug the project I've been doing for the past year plus a little bit, an actual play RPG podcast called Binary Break. It is set in the world of Digimon. No, wait. Don't run away. I promise it's not scary. A group of kids end up in a weird world full of strange monsters, most of whose voices sound like bad celebrity impressions.
Ooh.
Like a giant mushroom who talks like Werner Herzog, or a cool witch with gay aunt vibes who talks like Natasha Lyonne, etc. And they have to try to find their way home. And do you not know anything about Digimon? That is fine. A lot of people don't, including the main characters of the story when they end up here, and they learn about it as they go, and you will learn about it too as you go. I've had several listeners who know nothing about Digimon who have started listening to this podcast who tell me that they really enjoyed it. There's a great cast of really, really funny podcasters and comedian folks, and we all just have a lovely time. The first season has just wrapped up, and so now is actually a really great time to catch up. There are currently, at the time of recording, 12 episodes in our feed, and we're going to come back in August with season 2, so catch up. I am so proud of it, and I think it is very good.
Miles, do you have anything you want to plug?
No. I mean, I guess Unspoiled podcast is still a thing that I do. We are, my shows with Natasha Winters are, I think right now we're totally behind the Patreon wall, so if you want to listen to my stuff, you have to pay her. But you can listen to her other stuff. She has lots of free podcasts that you can listen to that you don't have to pay. But if you want to listen to me, you gotta pay. We are just about to start.
No, sorry.
I mean, that's fine. It's understandable. We're just about to start the last book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, which has been a fucking ride. If you're not familiar, it's the books that True Blood is based on. But apparently very loosely. At some point, we're going to watch True Blood as well, so nobody told me anything about True Blood, because I'm the unspoiled one for this show. We are, when we're done with the 13th book in the series, which is Sookie Stackhouse is like, it's really fun. The plots are nonsensical. Like the author, Charlene Harris, does not know how to plot a story to save her life. She does not know how to structure a narrative. There are weird, like, thematic cul-de-sacs and loose ends, and shit gets, like, never brought up again, or then brought up as though we were supposed to know these things, and it's very odd. But for some reason, she is so good at characterization that none of it matters. So, because you just want to keep following the characters. Very good stuff, but I mean bad, but also good. And then we're going to be moving back, as soon as we finish the series, we're moving back into Mistborn, because we have to finish Mistborn. We took a break from Mistborn to cover Sookie, so now we're going back in and reading the Secret History stuff, and the newer book, which is called The Lost Metal, which I'm actually reading now, because I have to be the spoiled person, for Mistborn, because Natasha's the one who hasn't read it. So, yeah, that's what I do podcasting wise. Beyond that, just do yourselves a favor and just, like, don't watch wrestling. It's not a good thing for you to do. And I would strongly recommend never allowing anyone, particularly myself, to try and show wrestling to you. Better to just stay away.
I'm not making anything right now, but if you would like to get in contact with me on social media, in order to find out my handle, the next time you dream about a bird, approach the bird. Do not make eye contact. Approach the bird. Let it know what your favorite Nicolas Cage movie is. Do not lie. It will know if you are lying, and it will kill you.
Oh, wow.
And if a bird kills you in a dream, you will not die in real life, but your credit score will tank. I don't make the rules. So, if the bird approves of your favorite Nick Cage movie choice, it will inform you of my handle. And then you can let me know what your favorite Cage movie is.
Now, Kit will kill you if you lie, and if Kit does kill you, you do die.
Yeah, if I kill you in real life, you are dead in real life.
What happens to my credit score, though?
Only the birds know.
And I'm MeganBob, the creator behind Hard Choices, and we have a Patreon, which you can access at patreon.com/hardchoices. And there you can go and get you the Hanna-Barbera bad choices that we did, quite recently. I mean, not that recently, but quite recently. And that was us ranking Hanna-Barbera characters, 15 of them, through a booze-soaked lens. and then finishing up with reading a cursed R-rated fanfic in which James D'Amato had to decide what it sounds like when Zorak comes. Mm-hmm. And he made a choice.
Yeah.
He really made a choice. And if you want to know what that sounds like, you have to pay me. Because I know what the people want.
If that's not a sell job, I don't know what
we
is.
said some things about Yogi Bear we cannot take back.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Word.
And yeah, if you want to get any of the outtakes, because there's always outtakes, that's where you have to go to get them. They're always appended to the end of the episodes that come out on the Patreon feed. And then also, you know what? If you're like, I don't want to spend $1, I don't have $1 to spend, although I will say $1.69 is what the lowest level is. You know what you could do that would be really, really sweet? You could go to the podcatcher of your choice that allows you to leave reviews, and you could leave a review. Because I pick up new listeners often through recommendations. I don't know how anyone would search for this podcast. I truly don't, but I presume somehow people might. What I wonder often, though, is whenever they see the word fuckability, if they're like, this sounds like a nightmare thing that I would never listen to because it would be, to quote the youths, cringe. Mm-hmm. And that seems like a real barrier to entry. And I would like you to go and leave a review and tell people why you love the show. I mean, presuming you love the show. If you don't love the show, you know what? Stay home. You don't have to go to school that day. But if you do love the show, if you would tell people why you love the show and why it is fun to listen to, that would really, really help the show. It honest to God does help the show. I've been reading about it, guys. I read a blog. And so, yeah, if you would do that, that would be so fucking appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, other than that, come back next month. Cause you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be ranking the fuckability of the X-Men with Chris Sims, noted X-Men comics writer.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say a lot of things he's going to disagree with, but I have already been on a podcast with him where I asked him whether or not Crocodile Man, I don't think that's his name.
Croc.
Killer Croc. Whether or not Killer Croc has a dick. And he had to answer me because it's my podcast and that's the law.
By the way, I strongly disagree with the conclusion that you came to. Not the conclusion you came to, but the reasoning behind it. Anyway, that's it. Maybe we'll hash it out on this X-Men episode because I'm going to be on it too.
Yeah, no. To be continued.
Yeah, come back and hear Dan go. Actually, MeganBob, I have some notes for you from a previous episode.
Killer Croc's dick.
I'm going to hear to relitigate.
Yep.
Yeah, so come back for that. It's going to be, and hey, just a little podcast insider info for you. My dog has been in the room with us the entire time. So if you hear some little collar jingles, good job. Good boy, Mulder. Good boy. That's my dog, Mulder. Yeah. So come back next month for more hard choices. And until then, Dan, you're the one who coined it. Take us out.
Stay hard.
Do it for Mulder.
This has been Hard Choices. If you want to show your support and get even more goofs from behind the scenes, visit patreon.com/hard choices and become a patron. You'll get exclusive voting rights and participation in every weird new thing we do. If you like the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review on the podcatcher of your choice. It shows people what's fun about the show and makes it easier for others to find it too. This episode produced by Dan Mulcairn. Go listen to Garden Plots with Skeletor. He's a great Skeletor. Our theme song is Funk Me by Soundroll. This piece and all music used in this production is licensed through Upbeat. You can find details in our show notes and listen to more great tunes at upbeat.io, spelled UPPBEAT.io. The Hard Choices logo is designed by Claire Mulcairn. If you'd like to get into touch with us, look for the Smash Fiction Fan Faction on Facebook and join the conversation. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. You're a peach!